Fuck you. That's the beginning of the episode. Fuck you. No, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Hey everyone, it's Brill's Pepper 2. Fuck you.
Here's a fuck you.
That's it. I'll write it. We'll do it live. Boom.
We're
topic number 2. We only got to topic number 1 on last step.
Yeah. Well, no.
All right.
We're also.
We only got 4 things to go over.
We
only got to 1 last step.
And I think we're getting better with our producing our planning. Because we did go into mid-last episode and we decided to get to the get out conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So
the long-awaited from episode 10, pretty far back. Maybe it might have been like 16. It was early on.
And we still
20 episodes plus ago.
We just took a break for about 30 minutes. We ate some food.
Made some definitive plans. Cybertronic spree.
Cybertronic spree. We just binge Cybertronic spree.
If anyone knows, so if you don't know what Cybertronic spree is, that is a cover band that covers Transformers, the movie soundtrack songs, like Instrumental Destruction, The Touch, Dare.
As the Transformers
completely cosplayed.
Yeah.
In like foam / cardboard outfits.
Yeah.
Perfectly made. Yeah. Beautifully made. Beautifully made.
Got the colors. They have all the seams in there. They got the.
And you laugh every time.
Rumble is on the drums.
Because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because Rumble's on the drums. First we'll crack the nut.
And they'll crack the shell inside.
Listen, this is. I just think it's fascinating how many I've literally watched it today. There it is right there.
Yeah.
And then we just watched a ton of covers. And they're playing the Oaks in October 14th. They're playing a concert at a retro convention where we're going to see them. We're going to be first in line.
We're going with, doing like a pilgrimage. We're going to go with a bunch of other people.
We're going to do a live. Well, we'll do a live stream. We do a live. Well, maybe not there, but we'll do.
So live is something I'm building on all fronts. Okay. There's a couple of things I have to do for the YouTube live stream. I would like to stick with YouTube. 100%. Yeah. So, and what happens is, when
you don't think YouTube's going anywhere? You think it's okay?
I'll tell you one thing. If I could boycott YouTube and not use it, I 100% would.
They remonetize some stuff. I know they do that.
No, it's not even that.
Not even
that. It's that they are attacking free speech and they are shutting people down that they don't agree with. Okay, and these are people that like even if you saw their ideas on paper, you would probably agree with them. But they're not congruent with YouTube management. And so YouTube management is just finding voices that politically don't align with YouTube, and they're shutting them down like one by one. And a huge one's about to go down. They're called Rebel Media. They're about to go down, and huge voice. They're Canadians that have and they comment on like America because they love America, and they comment on their experience with this country and some of these things that they view is happening, and it's viewed as hate speech. So the problem that's happening now, like the best way that I would describe it to it, let me just raise my volume here real quick. The best way I would describe it is that you have to start looking at YouTube and like Apple and the marketplace and the Google marketplace and even Google itself, Amazon, that they're so entwined with our lives. There's no replacement, okay? But they're almost utilities. So you can kind of always say, like, well, they're a company. They have their own internal policy. They can police themselves, and 100% correct. But at the end of the day, when it's viewed when they have a utility aspect, they're essentially like cutting off your water and not telling you why. And that's if I could boycott YouTube, even if I could boycott like Apple and even like PayPal, like PayPal controls it. Like there's no second, but I don't agree with it. But PayPal cut off donations for a couple of the Nazi sites associated with Charlotte, with Charlotte, North Carolina. Dude, I get it. But it's still America. These are just websites. The websites aren't the ones doing the protesting. They're just websites. And, you may not agree with it, but you have to, you have to welcome the other voices. Even though and if it can't be done here, even on a extreme level, there's no place else it's going to exist. And that's why you hold that, you kind of hold that vessel up. Like you hold it with a little bit of honor and respect. And look, at the end of the day, I do believe this. You can be the biggest racist on earth, but that if it doesn't interrupt your job, you should be able to keep your job. You can be the biggest racist on earth and hold your job. That has nothing to do with what you were hired there. And we're in a weird spot. So anyway, moving on.
It's hard to segue out. We'll do it. We're doing it live.
What are we talking? Are we going to talk about Defenders?
We're going to talk about. Let's just go over Netflix and Netflix concept.
Yeah.
So they're talking streaming wars soon. As of right now, Netflix in the last 3 to 5 weeks have just been completely if I had nothing else.
Yeah, they've been on the roll.
I'm good at all of it.
Yeah.
I'm very entertained with all of it.
Please take my $10.
So
Netflix.
Whatever you want. It's pretty fascinating.
So you want to give us a rundown of what you've been?
Well, we're going to go over
into?
Defenders.
Yeah.
So that'll be a whole segment. But what Hot American Summer. So just even going as if I broke it down by quote unquote areas. So TV. Okay. So you watch House of Cards.
Yes.
Orange is the New Black. I don't care. Friends from College is pretty good. That was a pretty good comedy series.
That looked funny. Yeah, that looked funny.
Pretty good. It was
okay.
It wasn't great, but it was very, very good. Glow is supposed to be very good. I haven't watched it yet. What Out American Summer, 10 years later, is really funny, but you have to like it. Some people just can't get it. You can't just start watching it. It's really odd. Yeah. But I find it fascinating that that's there. All the comedy specials have been good. The Birbiglia special kicked it off maybe 10 weeks ago. Great. Louis C.K., great. Sarah Silverman, I think I talked about on a previous episode. A little darker than I wanted, but interesting, and they let her do it.
Yeah. Well, right.
It was...
Yeah, I've heard a couple of people who have done shows with Netflix, and everyone kind of across the board says that, how much freedom Netflix gives them, and how much freedom that a lot of the net, and I guess this is the power of streaming. Because growing up, how did you and I absorb stand up? We got the
half-hour comedy hour.
Yeah,
it was
it was a VHS tape, a half-hour comedy hour, late night stuff. Remember Evening at the Improv on AMC.
Yeah.
Okay, and
you had Rosie O'Donnell in front of a brick wall.
Yeah, brick wall with a
spotlight. That was on a VH1.
Yeah.
It was I forget what that was called, but it was what the heck was that called? But yeah, it was Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah. She'd host it, and it was horrible. She had huge hair, and she'd have a bolo tie.
Yeah,
and she'd be in front of a brick wall.
Yeah. So the way out the lie that was developed would be the comedian would essentially develop an act, okay, and they would be able to repeat that act for a large chunk of their career, okay, and then when the VHS era hit. One of the people that faltered at this, believe it or not, was Sam Kinison. Okay, and he got involved with drugs and all this stuff, but he was really the cream of the crop. He was, and what happened was that he found out, and people saw with him that you if you have a hit special that hit on mm, and people go to see you live in another city a week later, you need a different act. Right. They're going to know your beats, and that was some of the blowback of now people absorbing stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So the comedians had to they had to it was escalation. The comedians now had to develop longer acts, more sophisticated acts, and have a pipeline of development. And so what would happen would be that they would, when they would go on their tour, they would do like 3 or 4 bits that people knew, and then experiment with the rest, and tweak it and like sculpt it. So what we're seeing,
create the new special.
yeah. So what we're seeing now, right, is something very interesting with Netflix, where Netflix is allowing these people to workshop their act as a special. Okay, and it's only good for comedy at that point, because you can have the best minds produce a lot of content, get better at it, and not that they're going to repeat it on like a follow-up special, but you get to see them like in the zone. Like even like there was like a bunch of like anti-Trump ones that came out, like the David Cross one, who I love David Cross. The anti-Trump, like no big deal. Like the Trevor Noah ones too. Like like very political, very there. But when we were growing up, that type of material, the pipeline for you to absorb it was so long. Like you couldn't do acts like that. You couldn't really do topical acts, because it would take you 6-7 months to go from your act to like HBO recording, HBO broadcast, and then maybe ending up on the VHS itself. But now the interesting thing is that Netflix just says, "Hey, go, just go," and we'll stream in 2 months. We'll stream in 3 months, like from now. So like you go from 3 months to like act to watching it at home. I mean, that's only gonna get shorter. Like Netflix eventually is going to get to doing like, what's the next threshold for Netflix?
Well, I want to say that the Chelsea Lately show is either live or close. Like it's within a week. It's very, very fast. Chappelle did 2 complete hour-and-a-half shows, like completely different.
And the second one
totally
was
different.
The bomb. The first one, I think bomb. The second one was.
I think the first
one
it's trouble, but to me, like I think the main thing with a lot of stuff I talk about is like, I don't care if it fails. Like to me, if it's purely you and it fails, I respect you more. Like I think it's better.
Which is a little bit what I'm like talking about.
Because the Sarah Silverman one, I didn't enjoy. I remember watching it, and me and my girlfriend watched it. And at the end, I was like, man, I didn't really have a good time at that. But I'm happy that I watched it. But I wouldn't really classify it as like a comedy special, because a lot of it was very searing, and then there was a lot of personal stuff, and then there was literally like a life and death situation.
Yeah.
And then it was trying to be tinged, and then they literally ended the show with a clip of her going into surgery, where it was literally a life and death surgery.
Oh, really?
And she's like, you can play this at my comedy special when I'm dead, or play it at my wake, and you're just like, you literally going in a room and you don't know if you're going to die, and you make a joke and that's funny, but at the same point it's like really kind of frightening.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's the way they ended the show. I'm like, well, that wasn't super funny, but how are you going to market that other than being, I'm Sarah Silverman, this is my special?
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting. And then the same thing, even like Louis C.K. sometimes will go in an area you're just like, oh, this is painfully uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, he evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating that but you're right. Like when Chris Rock would do an HBO special, that's when you first realize that, and he was one of the first people to talk about, you can't do the same thing again.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to come out with a thing, and he workshops secretly, and then he just shows up, and you're just like, oh, I'm just at a shitty comedy show, and then there's Chris Rock on stage.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm with like 8 people, and there's Chris Rock in New York, in Brooklyn.
So real quick, so when you say that it would workshop secretly, that I think we gotta drill into that really quick. So it would essentially be like, it would be you can call it warehouse, you can call it club, or like an arena. So these guys,
they're working out their material.
Yeah, they would rent the space, they would pay money for the space, and then like just like a promotion company would.
If they're famous enough, they could do a drop in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they would fill the space. They get butts to seats, and essentially, these guys would just. You would sit down and like as a performer, not everything you do is going to hit. So like you willingly kind of go through that pain, and some of them would go through the same joke twice. Like right there, like you're watching them just like rehearse the joke, rehearse the beats, and trying to like understand, like what the timing is and what's funny about it, And I think consistently, the only person that we have ever that did that, that made it look easy was George Carlin, because what was it, like 12, 15 years? He did one a year.
He'd do one a year, and then they're always like amazingly searing and topical and fresh, and it was just solid.
And it was him.
Yeah,
it was like, like again, I always loved his tangy bit. Like things that are labeled tangy. Like what? Like why is this flavor called? Like what is tangy? Like I don't. Then he goes off on like all the contradictions of how people use like tangy.
Right.
Like
I don't remember that. I remember the one. It was all
best,
like.
Dude. It's so
there's
good.
a couple of bits that I remember when I was a kid, and I listened to a couple of records my dad had, and it was always the same as the hippie tippy weatherman, and what's the weather? I don't know. Look outside, like just look out the window. Like it was just like this. Like he would just kind of run through he would do a fake news program, and
well,
that's a lot of shit, man.
The one I love too. There's one where he makes fun of the stewardess, talking about like when you're getting on the airplane, and she's like, hello, get on the airplane. Like, have a good day. Come on the airplane. And he goes, fuck you. He goes, I'm not getting on the plane. I'm getting in the plane.
He was very literal. It was very uncomfortable. Like he would make people really uncomfortable and think fast and then move on.
I'm not getting on the plane.
But I wouldn't really call him like fully political. Oh, that was one. Yeah, there was one where he talked about if aliens ever did look down at us.
Yeah.
We're literally walking behind the dogs. They would think the dogs are in charge because we were walking behind the dogs and picking up their shit.
Right. Yes, yeah.
Like, that's an amazing, like, oh, my God, right, yeah. Jesus,
But the funny thing, though, too, is how many other comedians took that bit. And,
I'm sure.
And just tweaked it and made it, like, it's almost a ripping it off. But his other best one that I absolutely love is his analysis of football versus baseball. Where football is it's
overtime. Like we were on it. Like we need to. It's I know that was. I think it was hockey. Go like overtime or
Well, it's
extra innings, right?
Well, So for football, it was like war. It was like definitive, like winner loser. Mm-hmm. Okay, because there's even in the history of the NFL, there's only been a handful of ties ever. Mm-hmm. Like, and you can roughly say it's been like a half a century of football, NFL. Okay. There's only a handful of ties. So he compares them like that, but he also compares football. You play football in the winter, in the rain, in the sun, in the mud. You play football. Like, you show up to play. Where baseball, you can only play in the sun, and if it's nice out. And you play for as long as you want to have
there's no time limit. There's extra innings. It's like, oh, there's extra innings. Like, it's like, oh, okay.
We still get to play. We get to play. And it's like, and he's like, football. He's like, you got mud in your mouth and you're bleeding. And it's just like, damn. But it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, if you view culture getting a little bit more violent, like with the rise of the UFC, like what's happened in our lifetime. When we were growing up, it was like kind of baseball, then basketball. And then like football was kind of like a third, and now it's
all football.
It's all football all the time.
Yeah.
Like as we're recording this 2 weeks from now, it's kickoff, and I'm foaming at the mouth. I'm vibrating for the season to start because I love football. I love
all
so
the good
much.
but to me, it's like the opposite. It's like, well, those are all the good movies just going to start to come, and all the Oscar bait. Like,
I get all the Oscar movies.
I don't know, but see, I'm the guy that we just talked about before we started the show. Is like. My phone's going crazy. It's like, hey, Twin Peaks is on. Why aren't you watching Twin Peaks? What are you doing? Like, my phone's literally telling me I should be watching Twin Peaks. And it's like, and then I know
you were just watching. Like, how'd you even get that?
Because Showtime told me I need to watch it. Showtime just yelled at me that I didn't watch it. So Showtime. So just to divert slightly, is that
by Showtime you mean the Showtime app?
Yeah, the Showtime app is telling me what am I doing.
Executives at Showtime are not calling and harassing.
I disagree. Marc. I think they're actually. I think that's exactly. They know who I am. They know me. It's me and 7 people watching Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And they're contacting all of us and say, hey, wait, we know you didn't dial in. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny you say that because I was for the Conor McGregor fight. So I was in line with this girl, and we were at Little Caesars, and Little Caesars is like bombed. There's people getting like 8 to 10 pizzas. I'm like, it's just like it's like a club atmosphere. In Little
what time
Caesars.
is this? This is last night, right?
Yeah, this is like 8 o'clock on a Saturday in New Jersey. Okay, and dude,
which
like,
Little Caesars is it?
It's the one on Cross Keys Road.
Oh Jesus! Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's okay.
Are they nationwide?
I don't know if they are.
It's a big deal here. It's a little.
But Little Caesars.
Pizza.
I've had them as far down as Florida.
Okay.
Okay, but they disappeared for a while. Do you remember them like going away and then they all came back? So I don't know.
I just went to the one on 45 in Woodbury. That was the
Okay.
one that was right across from where Frankenstein is now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like that's what was right on that corner.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So, dude, we're there. It's like I said, it's hopping. We're like just chatting with like all the people there and stuff like that, making jokes. And the entire time we're there, her UFC app is blowing up her phone, telling her to watch the Conor Mayweather fight. And I'm just like, man, like I get like the update, but she literally got like 4 or 5 updates in less than an hour. Because we were there for maybe like 30, 45 minutes. Because there were that many people. It took that long to get 3 pizzas out. Which, at that point, I could have went to a real pizza place. Like, that's the funny thing. You go to Little Caesars because it's quick and you know it's garbage, but it's quick. And there's
They have a
value
thing where,
to
like,
that.
if it's not ready, they give it to you. They're partially free or the second one free.
Yeah.
It was part of their marketing for a while.
Yeah.
Kind of like Domino's, where it was like 30 minutes or less free.
Which is gone because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the second movie completely decimated. Remember, because they get the free pizza.
I think our episode like 14 or whatever the fuck we did, when you ordered it and it didn't show up for 3 fucking hours,
and
that blew it off. And you still paid for it.
I still paid.
And they still owe you money.
They owe me. They actually owe me like 4 pizzas because it happened twice.
Call now and get some pizzas.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So but
comedy.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, we're going back to comedy.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing is that Netflix is now the new like avenue for. It used to be HBO. You got an HBO special, you're golden. Like you had a Seinfeld HBO special that pretty much got him a television show. That special is perfect. And then you got Seinfeld Chronicles of Seinfeld. Like that's how it went.
Yeah.
Like Ray Romano or even Tim Allen had a special. That's how it was the evolution.
Yeah.
That was the evolution.
Like Tim Allen had his full-time stand-up.
They did that. They pretty much made a show. That was the rule.
So like the one guy, I forget his name. I think it was Richard Jennings.
Richard Jennings.
He's in the Mask movie. That's like the biggest.
I believe
movie.
he killed himself.
Yeah, and he had Platypus Man. That was one of his stand-ups. And this dude was
made a cartoon of that, didn't they?
They did the I think it was UPN or WB Network had the Platypus Man series. But this dude was so good with his stand-up. He was so freaking funny. And I just feel like he never got a fair shake. And it's like when by the time he got a chance, it was like syndicated WB as opposed to like a network. But I think if he had like a broader audience, he would be like one of the biggest comedians ever, and people would know him by name. But I was so into Richard Jennings, the Platypus Man.
The Platypus Man got an 8.6 on IMDb.
Did it really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. Like, I'm pretty sure he was super.
I got the name right too, right?
Yeah, Richard Jennings,
Yeah.
Jeni. But I'm pretty sure. I want to say that he killed himself. Yeah, he died in March 2007, and I'm pretty sure that he committed death. Let's see.
It's tough, yeah, because
yeah, 30. Oh, he shot himself.
Did he really? Oh my god.
38.
Bumming people out, man. You're bumming me out.
I know. Well, I mean, listen. I think that the biggest notable comedian to. Now that we're gonna go down an avenue that we're stuck in right now.
Yeah, we're stuck on this.
We're
rail.
stuck on this one, unfortunately. But that's the.
We're dreaming. We're dream warriors. Latest episode was war. Now we're just dreaming. What did we agree on in latest? I don't know. We didn't agree on Alien. We didn't leave on Get Out.
No, I don't know if we agreed last episode.
Not at all. But we're just going to dream this episode. We're just dreaming.
I think we agreed.
So come.
I don't know. I'm just not even gonna get near it. I was gonna go Robin Williams. I was gonna say that Robin Williams is the most notable comedian, sad comedian. Like that, there is a tortured past. There's pretty much besides Seinfeld.
Yeah, maybe
every comedian's pretty fucked up. They're pretty messed up.
The other one that comes to mind, Lenny Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
But he was also ostracized and targeted because of his he went through that Larry Flint. As we were talking about earlier, right? The value of free speech, the value of being able to say what you want, and not, and again, we're going full circle there. At the 24th minute, we just went full circle.
What do you think the fracture is, though? Like Chappelle could have had a different career. He decided on his career. He disappeared. He decided to walk away from a ton of money.
Yeah.
and in a way, did he win? I mean, I don't know, because like when he hosted SNL right after the election, it was like a triumph. I thought it was great. Like his monologue was fucking great,
Yeah,
and the whole episode was great. And then he can go do his own weird like shows in Brooklyn and all day shows, and
right. There's been a
he did
lot of
shows for like 8
experimentation.
hours
Yeah,
straight.
I thought he did ones where he was almost doing like pop-up shops where
Yeah.
like you would be. I want to say he did one. I think he did one like in Philly where he just showed up at like Helium Comedy Club.
Yeah, it's
And like
crazy.
did material, and then people just like flooded that place, and it was
Right.
like the crazy. So I don't know. Like his case is so unique. I'm not sure what to measure it against, rather than like I think there's more value in knowing what he's been doing, and kind of like taking like and not taking it for granted. Like when he does SNL, I haven't watched SNL in a century, but I would watch that one. Like like as soon as like I didn't even know he was doing something for Netflix. As soon as that came up on my feed, I was like, "Yo!" I'm watching this now. I don't care if I can only watch it for 20 minutes, but like I just need to know. Like I need to start watching
Right.
this.
How is the makeup of this? Even when the Louis C.K. special, I was like, is this going to be like an HBO special? Like, what is this going to be?
Yeah.
Like, because it was just called 2017. Like the Louis
Right.
C.K. one. It wasn't like, it's me and my divorce.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it wasn't
or-
like,
Yeah,
like, you know,
or
I
it's
don't
like
know.
it's like a theme or whatever. It was
Yeah,
like but I
Like
don't
Jim
know.
Gaffigan, blah. Like, you know what I
I
mean? It's
love
like,
him so much. So
yeah, but even his last special had to do with his like wife's brain tumor. What the fuck?
yeah,
Like,
but
I mean, I swear,
was that the one he talks about the crabs and how like God intends crabs not to be eaten, but
Right, right.
we don't figure it out because we keep trying to eat crabs, and they're like he puts them underneath the ocean in
yeah, but
sand,
I think
and then
that's
covers
the,
them in hard shells and gives them no meat.
like all the work we put into it. But I think
Yeah.
that was like the beginning, and then at the end you end with like his wife's brain tumor. Like that's what I just think that like we're getting in a weird area.
Yeah, well, that's always been the comedian though. Like, is it?
There's
like,
definitely there's something. Yeah, there is going to be a shattered, tortured, rough past
there-
in it.
Well,
It's in the Big Sick. They have a thing in there where he literally breaks down
Okay.
in the Big Sick, and it's not really a spoiler, but and I'm not telling what happens, but Camille and Johnny like literally breaks all, and it's one of the worst sets ever, and that's kind of famous. Like it's kind of famous of like
Yeah.
the
Well-
like it wasn't like a racist thing. It wasn't like a Michael Richards
Yeah.
break,
Oh,
but
no,
it was a
what's the
bad
Michael
break.
Richards one's not. That's way. If you really go through that, that's not as like that's very much overblown. The Michael Richards
Yeah.
one, yeah. But but getting back real quick to Jay Leno said it. I think he said it best. And Jay Leno gets zero credit for being a stand-up genius.
He's
like
a full working comedian. Like
Yeah.
he would do. No, the one joke was he hated his wife.
yeah, yeah,
He never wanted to go home. He's like, I do Tonight Show
yeah.
for 60 hours a
Right,
week.
yeah.
On the weekends, I go
Yeah.
to Vegas or I do clubs.
Yeah. So, but he said he
I go
goes
fix my cars.
he goes when you're poor and you're a comedian, you make jokes about being poor. You make jokes about the rich. He goes, there's nothing to joke about when people know you're rich. You know, and I think that this is what you're talking about, to where like this is where you go, like, and you try and add like human tragedy. You try and add this like element to your act that people would buy. Like it's almost like they would buy into it.
Well, I
Like,
think,
I'm
I
not
think the
saying-
Louis C.K. stuff
Yeah.
over the years, where it was like divorce and how do you like taking care of your kids when you're a single dad. Like there's a bunch of stuff that like
Yeah.
I could go into and go, okay, I got it. You know what I mean? I could see like where that's, and he adapted multiple times. He also doesn't compromise, and he keeps moving his thing. And most comedians say he's the comedian. He's it.
Yeah.
Like he's the comedian's comedian.
Yeah, I would say like the right now the one comedian that really resonates with me, that I just think kind of like grabs me, is because I think he cuts glass, is Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Burr is so freaking quick wit, and and he's a career comedian. Like I've
Yeah.
been watching him since he's had hair.
Mhm.
Like like and it's
20 plus. Yeah, it's been 20 plus years.
yeah,
for
and
sure.
but he is so. He's just so, I don't know, like because you know what it is. I tune out when a lot of these comedians go anti-America, when they're anti-marriage and they're anti. I'm not saying you can't make jokes about that stuff, right? But when there's an obvious slant, especially with like marriage, which is so like weird to me. Like I get it, but like, do we all always have to make fun of marriage and there's other things that are as funny or funnier? And I just think it's like one of these like low hanging fruits that when someone goes into that like in their act and they're only 20 minutes into their, and I'm just like, what, like where are you gonna go after this? I don't think you're gonna have much left in the tank. Those are the only times that like I'll kind of single comedians out, but I don't care. I love to laugh. I'll watch anyone. Like I don't discriminate. I don't care. Like I don't agree with stuff Kathy Griffin like tweets and does, but I'll watch her stand up. Like
even like her Trump head thing.
Yeah, like
so weird. And misguided.
I kind of didn't care because to me it was a bad. Like I saw that as a bad joke, and then it blew up. But she's a comedian. What like? When are they like? Why would you ever expect a comedian to be serious? Like,
I think it's weird that like broke her career, man. That like fucked her career over.
But that's because there was this weird overreaction that made no fucking like it made no sense.
Yeah.
And this is where we are, where like there's no continuity in what's upsetting and what's not upsetting, and people get angry now. There's like tons of compilations on YouTube, about like people like verbally attacking comedians during a bit. Because they think they're being targeted in the audience, like the comedian's talking to them, and they're flipping out. And it's just like, what did you pay into? Like, you paid to sit here. Like, did you not know the nature of a comedy show?
There's definitely a turn. I think when people started to turn on Dice, that became some early like YouTube stuff, YouTube fodder where he's like, what did you expect me to talk about? It's me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to talk about? That's exactly what I'm doing.
Do you remember, again, like, we're talking so much VHS these last 2 episodes. Do you remember the Dice VHS? I remember you would, like, have to be on the waiting list to get
I'd be
the
Caroline's
VHS.
and Deptford. I'd be like, there was definitely a lot of that stuff.
Then I remember, like, my friend got one. My buddy Rob got one. And I think...
You said the Kennison. I remember Kennison had a VHS when it had like a Jessica Hahn in it. Like it was like
had all like penthouse models.
And it was like
he was in
like
the limo, like he went from the limousine to the stage, and it was like but I
remember waiting for that. Like you couldn't get that. Right away.
And I think that was even advertised in the back of like Penthouse. Like it was just one of those things that was
they
like,
either co-produced it or they co-produced it.
It was like dirty and it's like. Again, it perfectly fit his
Kiss had
image.
One. Kiss had one like that.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I want to see that. But it was one of those things where, my buddy Rob got the Dice Clay tape. And it was like we left school and went right home to watch it. And it was like right around the time where Dice was either on the cover of Penthouse or Playboy. See, and that was a different thing, too, because like the adult world was intertwined with like some of the... Like, I remember... Like, it was Eddie Murphy's Raw. That was the one HBO. And then to see Delirious was like a treat. Because Delirious was the dirty one that you couldn't get. But you could get Raw because HBO had Raw.
Right.
But Delirious was... And you would only hear about it.
Delirious was like 82. Raw was like 85 or something.
Yeah, and you didn't... there was a long time where I even know that...
In slang, it was... What was Eddie wearing? Was he red or was he wearing a black outfit?
Yeah.
Or
it's purple, right? Is it purple?
It was signature. I don't know. I just found the Kiss one. The Kiss is called Kiss Exposed. It was 87.
Yo, look at this.
Yeah, it was 87. I remember. I think my brother got it, and we watched it because basically, there's just hot tub scenes, and then there's topless girls. So
how much is that? Is that on eBay?
It's on eBay for $20.
Oh,
I'm sure you can probably find it online. Yeah, let me look up. So we know that Delirious was red.
Yeah, I'm going to look up Delirious now.
I'll look up Raw to see what he was wearing. So Raw, he was wearing... You're right, it was like a bluish purple.
Yeah.
But remember, like, how iconic that was. Eddie Murphy basically always wanted to be, like, a movie star. Like, he always wanted to be, like, a musician. Because even when he did Party All the Time with Rick James, most of that album, the Party All the Time album... was all written by like Rick James or Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Like pretty good. It's actually a pretty good album.
Yeah.
Like, but
Well-
he wanted to be Michael Jackson. Like he had Michael Jackson like co-sing on one of his later albums, if you remember. Like kind of really
Yeah.
uncomfortably and weird. It was called "Was Up with You," and I believe it had tons of
Okay.
Z's in it.
Okay.
Ooh, it's terrible.
Oh, what like the Azir Randy?
The
Where,
video,
like the Randy from Funny People has like he's like get me on
Yes.
MySpace. He's like I'm Randy with 8 A's.
like it's literally, it's terrible. But Eddie Murphy always obsessed over. He talks about Prince and Michael Jackson and various things.
Well, he
but,
does.
like,
He does an awesome Prince
And-
accent. Where remember he's like Prince said he was going like beat my ass, and he talked like this. And he's
But like, look, this is 1980. This is what this was 92, 93. Was Up with You, and it was co-written by Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's in the video. Look how weird, look how strange
That
some of those
is-
videos are.
yeah.
And he was literally in the side, and it was really early, not auto tune, but it was just like he would just
Wow.
synthesize his
I gotta
voice.
See that.
But he's Eddie Murphy's just a weird duck, man. He's just an odd dude, like straight
But
up.
don't you
But
to
don't you
be
think
as
he
good as
always
he
wanted to be like he even talks about Elvis, like he want like it's a lot of showmanship. It's
Yeah.
a lot of musician based
yeah well,
material.
you know, like speaking of that real
James
quick,
Brown, he did James Brown in the SNL, which is great.
well
Get in the hot tub.
We're always with the hot tub. we're really down the rabbit hole, but let me just do this and we'll move on. We'll get back to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Is I just watched speaking of Jim Carrey, Man on the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
A year since I saw that movie. I forgot
love
how like uplifting that movie was, like in the third act. Even
Mm-hmm.
though like he's dying, like to him going to Carnegie Hall and doing the cookies with the kids and doing like the Santa Claus bit. So like I forgot about this time where I was really into Jim Carrey and I got into this is when I was younger. Because like I always liked Jim Carrey because like I just knew he didn't go to college and I'm like, yeah, the hell with college. You just be talented. Just be talented. That's all you need. So to me, he was always like this symbol for that, or this icon for that. And like at the time, like you only knew what they told you about Andy Kaufman, even while that movie was coming out. And lo and behold, I see that movie like a week or two ago, and it completely captures me. And what the difference is? YouTube. I was literally just like maybe 2 hours straight. I watched everything I could on Andy Kaufman on YouTube, and totally got my mind reblown by the walls that this guy broke. I was digging up the stuff that they did in the movie, like when he's
When
on,
he's on Fridays.
like Fridays,
Yeah.
and like that, like they kind of shrank it and combined it, but relatively what's in the movie like it happened just
Right.
like that. Okay, like what's his name, like walking off with the cue cards and
Michael
throwing the
Richards.
yeah, like what?
Second Michael Richards reference.
Yeah, like what the frig, dude? Like, and there's times where like he did this. Okay, so I feel like this should have been in like who knows, right? Because it's a movie, but he does an apology at Fridays, like the next week.
Yep.
And then he does like a follow-up apology.
Says it's all planned, and then the follow-up apology just going to throws out his apology. It's
Right.
fucking crazy.
It's and then just
You could just feel the producers behind the camera, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is
and
going
he's
on?
convincing and reconvincing people to do the same thing, and these people are convinced that he's going to do something. It's so freaking crazy in my eyes, and to do it in the era he did it, where there's only a few channels for media and like distribution, and there was only a few ways people watched television. Like you're like, oh my god, like this dude he monopolized time from networks. He like, and the movie's awesome because it kind of shows you like maybe what the back end was like when these producers are talking about them. And
They do a little bit with Taxi in that, but apparently Taxi was a lot more difficult than they let on.
yeah,
And then they reduce him to either phone calls, like they move him around.
Well, I remember Nick and Knight when Nick and Knight was something that I think I'm pretty like I'm just again going off the top of my head. There was a run of Taxi episodes where it's him and the wife, and you only saw him and like they were in their apartment. He wasn't in the taxi garage.
Right.
Like there was like a run and
Think about how maybe inexpensive that show was, because that show
yeah, so it's
was
a one
just
set
a
show.
wide set.
It
was a long
yeah.
wide set.
Well,
That's it.
Again, welcome back, Collier. Like this is how things were done back then.
Yeah, but they barely left that
they
garage.
did. Yeah, but
that was it.
I was listening to maybe like interviews that they compiled, like maybe around that time of the people from Taxi. So this goes into a little bit what you're saying. Might have been Tony Danza. Tony Danza was talking about like if you didn't hit your line in Taxi, if you didn't like hit the punchline, that they were so strict that you would be like off the show. Like they only wanted consistent people to, and it shows you like how strong the writing was, because like the writers could kind of dictate that. So you give that to Andy Kaufman, and then you're like, oh, that's just nothing but chaos, because he's not that even type of comedian. Like
right.
But I don't know. Like I just encourage anyone to like just go down that rabbit hole, and it's all on YouTube.
Yeah, but see,
and it's,
I know, but it super depends, because I remember when I saw Man on the Moon, and it's funny because my dad was over maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and I have a tough time, and to kind of go into Jim Carrey for a second. So Jim Carrey over the last year, he had a relationship with someone for about 18 to 20 some months, and she was like a model.
yeah, he's
and there
had
was
nothing but weird relationships.
there's supposedly something that where there was a lot of like prescription drugs that he had because he's depressive.
I kind
And
of
she died. They broke up,
Does she
and
really?
she unfortunately had an overdose, and the parents are suing him. So
Yeah.
that to me kind of stains him, just like Cosby. It's hard for me to
yeah. Well,
attach anything to Cosby.
well, yeah. Well,
And then Jerry Lewis died last week, and I remember when my girlfriend said to me, "Hey, I feel like every time my girlfriend says this, she says, guess who dies? Like someone dies. Like it's like, hey, the
it's
guy
like
who."
it's like the Gregory. It's like the Spectre.
Well, I'm trying to think. The one time she said something, she said so and so died. I'm like, oh, I thought that was the other so and so. Like the first name, I was like, oh no, it's this. She was now. I was like, oh, I don't care. That person died. Like I was such a fucking dick. Now in this case, Jerry Lewis died last week, and I was like, that's fine. And she's like, what do you mean that's fine? He's a treasure. Blah blah blah. I said, no. To me, in my mind, Jerry Lewis is an asshole because over the last so many years, he's had these weird leaks and he hates women
there's been-
comedians, and I can't seem to shake it, man. I can't. Like I have
Yeah.
a difficult time with it.
But see, that goes a little bit of like what I was saying earlier about like you can be a complete racist and still do a good job.
But I feel like
But the thing is, though, like but that's the world we live in. Like,
But I feel like that's shitty because at the same point, like, I always make the joke with Bill O'Reilly. That Inside Edition clip is like from like 1988. Bill
Yeah.
O'Reilly's been a dick for 30 years, and they paid $20 million because he always gropes and handles women, and they
Well,
paid those money out.
well,
and
maybe,
like,
yeah. Look, there's
a lot of money.
What happened with Bill and even like something like Fox News, when you drill into what the girl said, it's none of it's
it's
proven.
like multiple girls, though. It's
yeah,
not like one chick.
but it's none of it. There's like real no evidence, and
I
there's
feel like there's like smoke and fire
there's
situation here.
Not yeah,
You're gonna
but
defend Bill O'Reilly.
no,
No, we don't.
I'm just saying that like these people are targets. They're targets, okay? Look, Michael Jackson has all the accusations. The dude went to court twice. The second time when he danced in front of the car, his lawyer impeached every single one of them. Every single one of them got impeached because, okay, why do you think this stuff never gets to that level? Because when it goes through the reins of the legal system, these people will be impeached, okay? And if you look at the testimony for Bill O'Reilly, I mean, the one main girl accusing him said that he did these things, and then she goes on a date with him 2 nights later. And it's like, oh, okay. And now you're whistleblowing, but you didn't do it then, and it was so bad then, you went on a date with him like a couple nights later. That's where I just tune it out. I'm like, all right, like it doesn't matter because again, it's like you don't. It's hard. I think it's inappropriate to act like like even when it comes to the Bill Cosby stuff, like you don't really know. And Bill Cosby went through like what happened when he went through the system with these accusations. Like Nothing.
I feel like there's just way too much. It just seems
Yeah,
to be
but
lean
these
too
people
much.
are they're look.
I'm not saying that some
Yeah,
women
like,
might be going
hey,
after money. That's fine.
Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror book. There's a book called Man in the Mirror. One of the kid's fathers wrote a book about his kid being molested by Michael Jackson. You're a father. If your daughter is molested, would you fucking write a book or would you kill the guy? Why would you write a book? This is the nature of some of these actions. I'm not saying some of them aren't unfounded or true. Okay? I'm with you. Like, sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay? But what gets overlooked is that how targeted some of these celebrities are. And look, I got, like, I'm not like Richie Rich, I'm not Daddy Warbucks, I'm not freaking like, but like people kind of lean on me for like that same shit, and I'm nobody, and they fucking lean on me because they know there might be like, a little bit of cabbage, a little bit of scratch or access, and they, like, and it's there because people. I just think it's a bad side of really bad side of human nature that people like get off by playing the victim. They get off. Okay? And what that does is when you see things like with the Bill Cosby stuff and the Michael Jackson thing and all of it, it takes away from the victims. And that's what angers me more. It takes the power away from the people that really were victimized. Okay? Because you're crying wolf and you and your friends got together. All your friends got together before a major national election to accuse Donald Trump of what exactly? Because nothing happened. Okay? Like, nothing happened. We're just talking like words here. Okay? When, like, on the flip side, you have a candidate whose husband has been actually, like, accused of rape and has kind of raped people, and those women were smeared by the woman running against Donald Trump. But that's okay. Like, someone like Paula Jones, no one talks about that, but they'll talk about something Donald Trump never did. There's no evidence of it, but we know Paula Jones happened. And we know Monica Lewinsky happened. Like a pure corruption of a major seat. Like, like absolute corruption, the Monica Lewinsky. But that's okay. We'll settle for that. Guy makes a pussy grabbing comment and the world loses their shit. It was a freaking... It was like a joke to begin with, and he said, let them. People don't even reference that, like what he says, and that they don't even reference it accurately. He goes, they let me, which no one adds. They phrase that as he grabs them.
See, I don't know. I don't know if you can have any context for it because you're not a parent.
Yeah. Why?
Like, I don't know if you can have context of it.
Okay, but at the same...
Because it's objectifying.
No. But here's the thing. I'll touch on this real quick. We're going to move on, okay? I don't even want to go into it. I don't want to go into it on air. We know some of your behavior with females. We got truth to say here. Some of that behavior, if those were your daughters, you would not partake in your behavior towards some women. Right?
Yeah,
like,
man, sure.
Okay. So it's hard. You got to put your money where your mouth is sometimes. At the end of the day, there's evidence. There's like things we can hold in our hand that we know happened. And there's a process to determine that. Okay? And when that kind of like falls through the cracks and you have nothing, you can't no longer hold to those accusations. And there was a time where like people would just move on. Like nothing happened, and now everyone is like an expert. And everyone like reads bylines and clickbait, and they think it's like this reality. But at the end of the day, like someone like, let's just go back to Trump real quick. Someone like Donald Trump, do you think he's around women that want that? Yes. These are women around a billionaire. These women they're attracted to it. Okay? So not when you say like parent and this and that, okay? All right, like you're coming from your world, but there's women out there that were raised just like your daughters are being raised that are going to grow up wanting to be around billionaires and going to do whatever it takes to be around a billionaire. Okay? Because not all people are the same. People are different. Okay? You read Art of the Deal. Like Donald Trump's talking about that in Art of the Deal. The book he wrote in 1987, he's talking about it. None of it was...
What if he wrote that? And technically, there's multiple writers of that book.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He signed his name to it. It doesn't mean things that he talks about didn't happen. No. Well, I don't care. Like, what's his name? Bill Ackerman from the Weather Underground, terrorist organization of the U.S., admitted on tape that he wrote Obama's books. Okay? So, like, it doesn't mean that Obama's books aren't truthful. I think they are. Like, I think, but when you're a billionaire, I expect you to have a ghostwriter. I don't think you're at the typewriter cranking out pages. You're a billionaire. There's a reason why you're a billionaire, because you learn to multitask and bring on partners. That's the only way you get to that level. But no, man, we got two real bad tangents here.
Two in it.
Painful ones. Can we just get back to Netflix?
We're just going back to Netflix. All right, we'll hold in the Netflix.
Save us, Netflix.
Okay. All right, so as I said earlier, if I just had Netflix and this is recent history, super recent history. So, like I said, the comedy specials: Birbiglia, Louis C.K., Sarah Silverman, Chappelle ×2, and then the movies. Even this week, I've watched three. Yeah. No. Yes. Within 2 weeks, I've watched 4 Netflix movies.
Okay.
So I watched Okja, which is the Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah, how was that? That looked fun.
It's whimsical. It feels like it feels a little bit like a
Short Circuit,
like a Miyazaki film.
Oh yeah.
But then gets real fucking dark, like real dark.
Okay.
Because they're breeding super pigs.
Right.
To make beef jerky and meat.
Right.
And they're not real
Which
pigs.
is where things are going anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
So it's a little too close.
It's already happened.
And then it gets dark, and then it becomes terrorist-y, and it's
okay.
It's really good. Paul Dano's in it. It's it's all over the map.
It sounds like a prequel to 12 Monkeys.
It's crazy.
Like it's when crazy. They're
I do think I thought it was super refreshing, and it was like a very good science fiction film. And then the other sci-fi film they made this week was the Whatever Happened to Monday, which was the
I started to watch it.
Yeah,
it looked like it was
really well made.
I wasn't ready to watch it when it was like I was like a couple minutes into it, and I said I was not in the mood to.
You kind of gotta sit and do it.
Yeah,
like you kind of have to sit and do it. Like the one thing I think is interesting is that like I feel like some people are on the payroll, like on the Netflix payroll. Like Willem Dafoe's in that. He's like the dad of the little kids.
Oh,
and then Willem Dafoe is
Death Note.
He's in Death Note. He's whatever the main
Roku. Yeah.
Like he's like God. Jesus Christ. Like he's the death god in that. And I was like, what? And he's so good in that as well. And I just found that crazy fascinating. But I saw Death Note last night, and a lot of people are panning Death Note. I watched Death Note last night, and I liked it. Like I'm familiar with. I read the first maybe 3 volumes of the comic book.
Yeah, I want to read
novels.
It. I'm inspired to get into it now,
but
because I love.
They have
really
it like
the
held
anime.
really well, and I thought like Lakeith Stanfield, who is the guy who was the first. He's in Get Out, the callback last episode, but he's in the first 5 minutes, and he's the guy that actually screams Get Out.
Oh,
but he's in Death Note. He is Jay. He's J or K, but he's the guy who his face is covered. He's the guy investigating and trying to like kind of take down the guy who's actually writing the Death Notes.
Who's the guy? Oh, sorry. There you go.
There you go.
What happened there? That was weird.
You got it.
We're good. Hello. Okay, sorry, we're back. But who's the guy writing the Death Notes? What has
he was in?
Looks so familiar. I couldn't pinpoint.
Paper Towns. He was in Paper Towns.
Okay.
His name's Nat Wolff. He was in Paper Towns with.
He has a good look. I like his look.
With Cara Delevingne, which is not a great movie, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good in that movie. He's pretty good in everything he's been in.
Yeah,
that guy's pretty solid. He's pretty convincing. I just wish they had a maybe. This should have been. As we talked about decompress, it should have been 5. This should have been like 5 1-hour episodes. Should have been like or 3 mini movies, like 6 hours.
Yeah, I
need 6 hours or plus.
I'll tell you what. Like on the last episode, we were talking about the blowback of expecting something when you sit down. So Death Note had the first episode of that. I talked about it on one of the Howl at the Moons. I watched it with this one chick, and I was so surprised by that, and she just put it on, and I'm just trying to get my ding-a-ling wet. So I just said, I don't care. Like, we're just hanging out drinking wine. She puts on Death Note. I'm like, I don't care. So
Who randomly puts on who the fuck are you dating? It's like, you know what I want to watch? I want to watch this really complicated Japanese anime drama.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
what?
So she puts it on, okay? And I get so locked into it, and the point
it's not
like the point I'm getting at is I got locked into it because my expectations of it, like I knew the premise, but I didn't know the hook, like the hook that the kid was
good.
That the kid had like a way to manipulate this that the god didn't see, like he kind of like outthought the god in, like by the end of that first episode, and I'm like, yo, like this is for real, and because I came in with like this like anime's dead attitude, which we discussed. Okay, like this is all recorded. This is all the path now, but it blew me away because my expectations were so different going into it, and like it's like euphoria when you experience that. So, and it was like one of those things where I wanted to watch the anime more than anticipate the live action. Like, you know, like I was just like, this is good enough for me. Like, I don't need this to be a movie, but I think it's kind of badass that it's a Netflix movie.
I just think
William Dafoe.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because it's like the guy who directed. He directed the Blair Witch movie that didn't do well.
Yeah,
we did the VHS movies.
Did you
and
see
he
that?
Did
you see?
Nah, I don't care. As soon as I heard it,
Yeah.
like, I mean, the thing is that when it doesn't seem to like push forward anything, I don't care.
Yeah.
I watched the beginning of VHS, but I felt I didn't finish it. So like,
I thought those were anthologies, or am I thinking of something else?
no, I think that's right. I think that
Yeah.
his original VHS, like, I think that had a couple things in there. But I mean, the biggest thing is that this week, so whatever happened to Monday, Death Note, Okja, with the Incredible Jessica James, which was more of a comedy. That was like a rom-com.
Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with that.
Yeah, but like Lakeith, that's what I think is funny is that like a lot of people are overlapping. As Lakeith Stanfield was in that as well. He's in Get Out. He's in Death Note,
Yeah.
and he's in completely different.
He has
three.
a good look. I like his.
He's really good. He's in Atlanta. He's in the Donald Glover show Atlanta.
Cool.
He's really good.
Oh,
in
okay.
that.
Yeah, I'm
He's
familiar
excellent.
with that. I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with it.
I wanted to catch up to the bone. That's the one with the anorexic girl, and then
Ugh.
Keanu Reeves.
There's an anorexic girl.
Yeah, and she gets really skinny in it too as well.
Yeah, it just seems depressing.
I'm sure it is. But
Yeah.
but Glow I haven't caught up with yet. Ozark looks interesting. Ozark.
To
me,
I watched Ozark.
is
I
it-
watched that.
What is it?
What was I doing? I was over here doing. I think I was hanging all of this stuff up one day.
Just rearrange it. Yeah.
Like all this got hung up. I'm pointing very high, everyone, and I just had it like running, so I was like just subconsciously listening, and that show starts like it's another one of where like kind of when I was telling you about the clown movie where it has that moment where like it kind of does like it brings you where like the audience kind of wants you to go where the guy's trying to tell his family about like what's happening to him and they kind of like divert real quick. That's how Ozark starts. It kind of it starts in area of Breaking Bad where are you familiar with Breaking Bad?
Well, that's why like I don't want to watch it because I feel like it's super close to Breaking Bad.
So it's not, but the one aspect of Breaking Bad was like that the family like discovers what he's doing and how that affects the relationship with him, his son and his wife. So this show takes that concept and just adds like him washing money to it, and it does it in like this way that just makes the show a little bit more like entertaining because the family's not freaked like like the family doesn't flip out when they find out what he's doing and when they know what he's doing and they kind of know something's up the entire time, and it does that because again, like how many times have we said that to ourselves when we were watching something like, oh, like what would the like the family be like? What would the like? How can you do this with a teenage daughter? How can you do this with a teenage son around? Like,
Right.
It makes no sense. And they're wise enough now to address this stuff. But Ozark starts like the first episode I thought was one of the best first episodes I've seen in like a good stretch. And the show has a great arc. It's awesome why it's called Ozark, like why it's Ozark, and that was like a good discovery. But I recommend it. I think like I think sticking to it because like it did have me to the end. It really did, and I thought I thought it had good characters. I thought it had like a good balance of the criminality and like the FBI element and the family element. And yeah, and then it's Jason Bateman. It's Jason Bateman just talking like taxes. But whenever someone tries to kill Jason Bateman in that, he talks taxes to him, talks IRS.
Well,
it's interesting. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at to see who like created this because normally it would be some people that did stuff, but this guy basically wrote The Judge, which was the bad Robert Duvall RDJ movie from a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he wrote A Family Man, which I've never seen, but that has Gerard Butler in it, so that's no good. And then he wrote The Accountant, which I understand is supposed to be good, but I didn't care, so I didn't watch it. And he's writing Nightwing, the future Batman maybe spinoff.
Oh, gee, yeah.
So I don't really know. So I mean, it's like a weird X Factor, but again, the Duffer Brothers directed like 2 episodes of like Withering Pines or whatever the fuck that M. Night Shyamalan. It's the only thing they ever really did before.
I didn't even realize that.
And then they were like Stranger Things. You know what I mean? Like they didn't do anything before necessarily. Like they so those guys. So I can't really say like I can't be surprised by a creator. You know what I mean? Sometimes when the creators come in, like it might not be good. You know?
Yeah. Quick side note, because I don't think we ever discussed it. Where are you with Stranger Things?
I really like Stranger Things. I think Stranger Things is really good. I think the through line with Stranger Things has a lot to do with I think it has a lot to do with the relationship between Winona Ryder's character and then the Sheriff Hopper. Like I think that's the big thing is that and the fact that Sheriff Hopper had a daughter that's gone. Like I feel that's the pull.
Are you
and that's the hope. Like and that's what kind of kept that going.
Yeah. Did it affect you that show was such a hodgepodge of things we've seen before and it kind of had no original, there was no original hook and that was my biggest
sort of like
my biggest problem with that.
I mean
I didn't feel like it had a big enough hook.
I don't know, like
and it kind of bored me.
To me, I don't know, it kind of worked. I watched it and then I started watching it, then I started watching it, and then I watched all of it with my kids on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing. It was like 8 episodes. I watched the whole thing with my kids, and they're 12, but like we just blew through it and we like loved it. And I just think that there's certain things that like are very that are very like Spielbergy, and there's certain things, but there's like a certain magic in that that I feel like that is not replicated, and when it's replicated right, it's perfect. Like I kind of think when
failed with Super 8, like which would be a good contrast.
Super 8 is like it's like here's all the stuff that should make it work, but there's no magic in it. Yeah, and it's just like devoid of that. So. Like when she gets in like a cardboard box and she like has like the glowing lights and her son's like talking to the lights, it's fucking crazy. That's nuts. And I just feel that there's certain elements in that, and there's just even the note where she's yelling at him, where she's yelling and he's like, look, I know that you want to believe that this is really happening, but it's not. And he's like, look, I heard my son breathe. And that happened, and that's like such a powerful line. And he's like, if your daughter was on the phone with you and she breathed, and you would know it. That happened, and that happened. And he's like, okay, so there's leaps in that.
I think the Winona Ryder stuff, I'm with you on that because like that was, that felt 80s to me when she was like discovering everything, ripping it down, putting things back up, trying to explain it to people.
I just feel like we don't have that like attachment to the child. Like that's very 80s. Like it's very
it's a wonderment. It's
and I feel that that's goes back to Poltergeist. Like she's like, no, Carol Ann's in TV.
Yeah,
like Carol Ann, she's here. She's in TV.
Or
I know she's here.
We gotta say,
stop ignoring me. This is really happening.
Like E.T. too. Like we got this thing in the closet. Like you have to believe there's an alien in the closet, Mom.
Right.
Like
Right.
But no, and no. So do you know when Stranger Things 2 season 2?
Yeah, it's mid-October. I think it's right before Halloween.
Okay, so it's really.
It's close.
That's kind of like we're kind of there.
I mean, here's the thing is that I think that based on if I sat down right now, and the only thing that I haven't really done, just because sometimes they mess me up or they bum me out, is documentaries. Like I know that Netflix has a very strong documentary push.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that I don't really feature because they basically talked about their television in a way, like where they have series and then they can break convention in series. And we'll get into that in Defenders.
I think a lot of their I have issues with some of their documentaries because they're debunked. Some of them are debunked so quickly, and I kind of just get the sense that some of them are like propaganda.
What
kinda,
wasn't
like-
Blackfish? That was their big one that was like pretty big.
Yeah, well, I think there was one called Food Inc. that
Yeah,
got
yeah.
ripped apart. Like that thing's like that's as much as the Climate Al Gore movie where
Mm-hmm.
like that just got like people just took a machete to like both of those and it just
Right.
became
Where
like
just the fact checks are just all wrong.
yeah, like the assumptions made, the like but
But like
Yeah,
the movie,
yeah.
I mean, just think about it. Like I can go on there right now if I wanted to watch a superhero television show, if
Yeah.
I wanted to watch a drama,
Yeah.
if I wanted to political drama.
I was watching Flatball,
if I wanted
which
to
is their
watch-
frisbee documentary on Ultimate, dude.
I do know about
Yeah,
that.
but that's the stuff that gets me. Where like
But they
I'm
have one about war vets coming up that I don't know if I could. I probably cry the whole time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
So,
Like where
but-
it's about like surfers. It's about a surfer
Yeah,
who was a vet who takes PTSD, like limbless war vets, and teaches them how to surf. Like we're talking people that have
Yeah.
like one limb,
Yeah.
if that. And then like I watched the trailer for that and I was like, yo, I don't know if I could watch this.
Yeah.
And they're even like Netflix short doc because they're just like, we can't
Yeah.
do this for an hour. Like they
Yeah.
even know. They're like, we
Right.
know.
yeah.
But but it felt important. I was like, shit,
Yeah.
this is important. Like, I should watch.
I was showing someone these documentaries when I was at Ocean City.
Is it Murder
Maryland.
Ball? Do you ever see Murder Ball? That's where like it's all the wheelchair
Yes,
basketball.
yeah,
That's great.
I didn't finish that. That one was
yeah,
like
that's
the-
tough.
Yeah,
but great.
Yeah.
Like that's another one where it's like, I'm just having a tough time with this.
the,
you know?
the two that resonated with me that I found through Netflix. I'm not even sure if they're still available. One's called Surfwise. Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen
and
it.
the other one's called Wolfpack.
You just talked about Wolfpack. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
We just talked about it off air.
Yeah. Surfwise is like this almost like hippie family where like the father didn't work, and you know he's got like five or like maybe 7, 8 kids, and the kids talk about like how they would just be in a room and the father would just start having sex with like the mother with like everyone like in the same room. It's like weird stuff, but all the kids broke off and actually, oh, we got some feedback there. How do we have feedback? I wonder if that's coming through.
Hit the green.
No.
Push the green down.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, hold up here. There you go. We're back. All right. I'll cut that out. Had a little feedback, but no. And each of the kids went off to do like they became like models, and they all kind of like ascended. And it's just an interesting movie of like what, like people don't realize. Like just quick side note, like we'll just take someone like Abraham Lincoln. So like the early life of Abraham Lincoln, he was through his father, okay, essentially like sold into slavery, and he was beaten, okay, and he was psychologically damaged on a regular basis, and and his father would sell him out for labor, okay, like like imagine doing that at 10 years old, okay, but what that does is like that scarring kind of can create a path for people, like you kind of create a path through pain. And Surfwise, to me, was like this documented example of that. And I think it was fascinating, like very fascinating documentary. But it's Wolfpack and Surfwise. Those are my really, like, two of my, I don't know, man, like, especially Wolfpack. That movie.
Was Wolfpack the one with the kids in Brooklyn?
Yeah, the kids that just.
And they weren't allowed out of their
They never
apartment.
left, and they remade movies. So they would get VHS tapes, like Goodfellas.
Right.
And then they would watch Goodfellas and write the script by watching the movie, and then they would, with a camera, make the movie in a single room. They would remake the movie
gotta watch
in
it.
a single room.
I know about it. I haven't.
It's it's fine. Keep going. I'm just going to look those up right now if those
Yeah.
are available.
So the big thing that what I thought was interesting was when I just went online and just was surprised when I looked at the future of Netflix, and I'm like, all right, if I could sit down right now and watch a dystopian future science fiction movie where you can't have, which was basically control over your children, which is whatever happened to Monday, and then there was
Yes.
there was like a 7 top.
Okay.
I don't even know what that is.
Real quick side note: both are available on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
You can stream on both.
So you have
Yeah.
that. You have a horror movie with Death Note. You have like I don't even know, like a science fiction fantasy again dystopian future. Okja, it kind of defies like
that was
like the Bong Joon-ho movies like they really like move around like what genre like is because he did Snowpiercer, he did Mother, he did like
Mother was good.
it's just
I like
crazy.
Yeah, but I think isn't that what? Do you think that's maybe like a trend that no one's spotting? I'm talking across the board, like almost everywhere, where there's no genre. Like I kind of say this about fashion, where like everything is in fashion right now. Like you can walk around with a like crop top and bell bottoms and a giant like hat, and no one would
Right.
like take a second guess, and you can walk around like a pinup model and no one would second guess. We're in like a very fluid zone with fashion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I feel like there's enough like there's just like a lot of culture clash, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's good because like I think with the people that get the balance, like I would even like we were talking a lot about Thor Ragnarok, like it's like man, like there's like 10 different movies merging into one movie with that.
It's Flash Gordon.
Yeah, it is Flash Gordon. Oh, it's Thor Flash Gordon.
It's Thor.
That
Flash
kind of
Gordon.
pumps me up even more
That
now.
kind of is it. Like to me,
That's
it's Flash
perfect.
Gordon with
How long
Kirby.
How long have you had that thought?
I don't know.
Did that just happen to you
know
right
what?
now?
I think I kind of knew it, but then I thought that I think
just so
Taika Waititi,
awesome.
the director, said something about like if I could have had like Freddie Mercury score this, I would.
Yeah.
That was in a recent article, one of
That's
the
awesome.
listicle articles. So I
Okay.
kind of feel like that's
where
like,
you
oh
got
wow,
that.
yeah, that's Flash Gordon. But I find it fascinating. Like, do you know what? Like when they're all on the couch, like do you know when Loki and like Grandmaster's on the couch?
Yeah.
If you look at that shot online, someone actually posted this. Is
The background.
The background is literally
Yes.
lifted from a Fantastic
Yes.
Four.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's one of the machines,
it's
right?
one of the, it's one of the huge machines that
Yeah.
that thing is working on. And they just pretty much made it the background.
But that's why that's
I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, you know.
But even those soldiers, the design for those soldiers,
For sure.
they are. But that's enough. Like I never, ever in my entire life thought.
I think the Black Panther stuff is very Kirby-esque. I feel it's more. It's his urban. It's what he did when he did some of that.
And
because
that's
he designed Black Panther. He
Yeah.
did the first 10 issues of Black Panther.
that, and I'm least,
more.
I'm not. That's the one side I'm not familiar with him. Like that's a little bit of my dark spot, but I still think it's amazing that people now can know who he is through that, through like again, like the work never dies. And I don't know, like it's just that's one of my biggest things for Thor Ragnarok, because I never like I remember reading the New Gods when it was reprinted black and white, like pre Marvel Essential days. Like they just did these newsprint black and white print reprints of the New Gods, Mr. Miracle, and it was like a 4-volume like collection. And like again, like reading that for the first time, but really seeing the artwork, because it works so much better in black and white. Like okay, and like it's like there's never been an artist before that invited something like that what they're doing with Ragnarok. Not even like look, I joke with my one friend that Jim Lee finally won because he gets his goggles in the Parademons in Justice League. Like the Justice League goggles, like the Wildstorm goggles have made their way into the Justice League movie. Okay. But there's no other artist where you can say like there's this like idea we can capture and we can put it here and it would just work with the movie. But anyway, continue. Let's talk to me about Netflix.
All right, so the Netflix. So we know that the next slate on the future is they have Punisher coming out in November.
Which looks fun, right?
The one thing
The
that I think is interesting
Sledgehammer
is
trailer.
they're literally, which is completely impossible to do that Punisher exact logo, and I don't know what the point of that was. I'm just putting,
just to be different. Like I just saw it, I said, "Oh, okay, they got to do something different, right?"
guess.
Yeah.
but I mean, it's fine. I don't know. You can't do a skull by doing that exactly what he's doing. Anyway,
Yeah.
like so they're doing Punisher, but they're releasing that I believe on the birth date of the Marines.
Really?
They're releasing it on like a Thursday, not a Friday or Sunday like what they normally do.
Okay.
It's like literally on like I believe the origination day. It's November 1st. It's something
Really?
strange. They can do whatever they want. Like
Yeah.
that's what, the thing that Netflix thinks they can do whatever they want. I think that kind of helps. And I'll go into my like Defenders review later. Is they're allowed to do whatever they want. So they have Jessica Jones season 2.
Oh, I didn't even know she was.
That's filming right now.
I love that. I love that first season.
I think that's
much.
really good. I would go Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones season 2,
Yeah.
Daredevil season 2, Luke Cage,
Yeah.
Iron Fist. I'd put Defenders above, probably.
I'll put
third?
I'll put Defenders above Iron Fist.
Yeah, but I'd put
Yeah.
it higher. I'd put it actually
Above Daredevil
1, 2,
2.
3. Probably, yeah.
But see, I like Luke Cage so much. That's where we differ. I like Luke Cage a lot.
I like the tone of Luke Cage. I just feel like it fell apart. I feel like it's messy.
No, I'll tell you, Luke Cage is amazing when who was the second villain? The Cottonmouth, right? No, that was the first guy. Who was the second guy?
I don't know. It was shitty.
Yeah, but the
I didn't think
second,
it
but
was
no,
shitty.
but when they're stuck in a nightclub, and he's like, and the guy with the glasses is like, "What are you going to like? What are you doing? You need like right?" He's like, "You don't have a plane. You need a plane to get out of this," and he's like rigging something to explode, and and the second villain dude is like, "The pennies are about to drop," and then he's just like, it's just like douche. It's like my favorite moment.
A
and
Diamondback.
Diamondback.
I hate it. I hated
Cottonmouth
that.
and
I hated it.
Diamondback.
I hated Diamondback. I thought that costume was fucking
The
terrible.
painties. No, it was perfect.
It's correct, but sometimes that's when you're just like, yeah, I don't know if this translates.
Yeah,
like, I
but
feel like
it was perfect because it's
I feel like
also
the music's
but
good,
it's
like the
also
tone's
Justin
good.
Hammer, which she's like a ripoff of to like
That's
like
true.
if Justin that's I thought that was the point. That's why I
Right.
thought it was great. But
Yeah.
anyway, tell me more. Tell me more. Talk to me.
So the director says we said Stranger Things season 2. It's October. I didn't know about this. So Arrested Development season 5 apparently is in development. I didn't know that.
No, really.
That's apparently in development.
Okay.
We talked about Bright. So Bright is a David Ayer movie, and this is kind of
I can't wait for that.
a backhanded compliment to Netflix, and then or I guess like a diss to Warner Brothers, as David Ayer wrote. Netflix allows me to make the movie I wanted to make, which
Yeah.
is in direct response to Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
which was chopped up and messed with. And David Ayer still promoted nicely, like
He
good.
did,
That's
yeah.
fine.
He didn't Josh Trank.
He didn't
Suicide
trank it.
Squad.
He didn't pull
No
a trank.
trank.
He didn't pull a tweet trank mistake.
I think it's time to end my career. Let me comment.
Right. So Bright is a Will Smith movie. It's 95, rumored to be 95
Yeah.
without marketing, and I don't even know how they're marketed.
Well, hey, it's already they did a Super Bowl commercial, so you're already
Right.
what 15 million,
so
I think in.
that's
Yeah.
in. But I think it looks good. I think it's really
Yeah,
good.
I like the I
very
I love how he
Alienation.
shoots. There's like a there's a it's called high pass. It's like a high pass gritty like filter on his stuff that I like. I was watching Suicide Squad a couple days ago because I love the beginning of that movie. I like it until they start to fight the
Watch
putties.
End of Watch or something, man. Just watch End of Watch.
Yeah, but I like
You see the
the
Gyllenhaal
girl. I like the
in the
girl.
high contrast films.
Yeah, the high.
in the sweaty high
You
contrast.
want to see the hairs on his
You want to
face.
see the Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
With the unshaven.
The-
So they bought Millar World. Do you know this? So Netflix
Yes.
bought Millar
Yeah.
World, which includes.
what are they left with now that other people haven't?
Well, I think that
Superior.
Okay, yeah, Superior, which basically is a Shazam / Superman
Right.
story. Nemesis, which is basically the Joker in a Batman costume.
Yes.
Doing horrible Joker things.
Right.
Like horrible. Like, so I don't know. And
And
Starlight, which
Starlight.
is basically Flash Gordon, old.
Yes.
Like 60-year-old Flash Gordon.
Yeah. But
Which is
then
great.
But then it's also whatever else he comes up with. Watch.
I gave you Reborn, but I think I took it out of the Dropbox or whatever I sent you. Reborn was okay. That was basically like a new heaven,
Okay.
and that would probably lend itself pretty well.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much it would cost.
Let's just real quick though. Let's just interject. Let's just tell people who Mark Millar, not Miller, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's Millar. Is what else? What other movies could they have seen that this guy was the generator for?
Yeah, he created Kick-Ass. So you have Kick-Ass 1 and 2, Kingsman, The Secret Service. So we have 2's coming out, but 1 was a good springboard for a film, a much better film than comic. The comic's okay.
I
I'd say
agree. I agree.
I say Kick-Ass, the first movie, better than the book.
Book reads
think-
too quick.
Yeah, the book, and I feel that
It doesn't
and
marinate.
that has like a
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim issue, is that the book wasn't done and they were making the movie.
Yeah.
and the ending of the movie is better.
But it's a Akira
Right. So it's,
factor and Wanted.
Right,
But
Wanted, yeah.
that's what kicked it all off, right?
But Wanted, what I want to say about Wanted, which I think is kind of crazy, like the Loom of Fates is such a comic book concept that is not in the comic book,
Yeah.
but it's so much better than the comic
Dude,
book concept.
I still love the one point.
Loom of Fates.
The one thing I love in Wanted, the comic though, is when the dude snipes the other dude and he's like 2 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
It's so comic book.
Yeah.
It's so like
That guy didn't really break through. That was like Timur Bakirnadur. Like I watched a ton of his like
Nightwatch.
horror movies. Yeah, Night Watch. And,
yeah.
like his
Night
movies are
Watch
nuts.
is kick ass.
Right, they're nuts.
That's for real.
But I don't know why he
Daywatch.
didn't make more movies here. I think he made one more after
Yeah.
Wanted and it
Well,
didn't work.
You know what? You know what I think happens, and we're seeing some. We're just going to talk football again real quick. Well, we're seeing some of this in professional sports, where guys are retiring after the completion of their first contract, meaning that they, they're going to do other things with life, and they're taking their lottery money and they're leaving. And I think sometimes we see this in film. I think these guys are able to, what's his name's like this? In his documentary, the Nicholas Riffin documentary, where they kind of talk about like how like they don't live a high life because he's just committed to making his movies, and they want spend their money being close to the productions and things like that. Well, I think there's a tone in Hollywood that shifted too, where they're more, everyone's more economical. They're into investing. They're, you can make 2 or 3 major movies and live off of that. And I just think, that's why people a lot of people disappear. There's few long-term careers being built right now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter after that, and then he did Ben-Hur last year, which was
He did Ben-Hur.
supposedly was
Okay,
a
I
train
take
wreck,
all that
so-
back then. There,
So forget it. Ben-Hur, forget it.
I do like Abraham Lincoln though. I thought that
Abraham
was
Lincoln, Vampire
Yeah,
Hunter. I like that because it
'cause-
was pretty earnest, and that dude played
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was badass.
Yes, and the Abraham Lincoln side of that is pretty
Better than the Spielberg Lincoln.
I got how far I got into Spielberg Lincoln? 5 minutes.
I don't know. I got maybe
as
20.
As soon as he was talking to Black Confederate soldiers, I turned it off
We were out.
because that is not what that war was about. The
lost it.
Emancipation Proclamation was created 4 years into the Civil War. But anyway, continue.
All right, so did Arrested Development, Stranger Things. So the thing that's interesting is that there's notable directors that are literally making completely original films. So Scorsese has one called The Irishman.
Yes.
It has Keitel, Pacino, De Niro, and Pesci.
Yeah.
They didn't tell the budget, but they said at least that the CGI effects budget on this, because they're making De Niro look younger.
Are they okay?
At least it's $10
not
million,
aware of that.
which I'm scared to see, but that's fine.
But they also stole that movie from someone. I thought that was a big deal.
It was
I think that was another Warner Brothers movie.
it
and
was
they,
it was
they snagged it from Warner.
no, I think he had it pitched to someone and they didn't complete funding for it. Because remember,
And then Netflix.
the
came
amazing
in.
thing is, even though Scorsese is so deep in his career, he still campaigns his movies.
he's the opposite of Woody Allen, where they haven't stopped the way how they engage in the film process.
Right. So he goes to the studio and says, "I have this idea.
Yeah.
We're doing this."
Really
and he's
old
like,
school.
"Okay," and then that's it. So, Jeremy Sontier, do you know who that is?
No, tell me who that is.
He's your Green Room director, which we were both big fans of Green Room.
Oh, we never discussed that. Did you like Green Room?
I like Green Room quite a bit. I think it's fantastic. But he's doing a movie called Hold the Dark, which has
good
Alexander Skarsgård, who's Tarzan.
Yes, I like him.
And then he's making another movie with Duncan Jones, who made Warcraft, which failed.
David Bowie's father. Son.
Right, so he's making a movie with him. I didn't even write it down, but which is kind of interesting because that's Scorsese, Duncan Jones, and this guy who made Green Room, and he made something for Green Room, Blue Ruin, I think it was.
Yes,
but
Blue Ruin.
But
Kicked ass.
These are really pretty well touted directors that can just make movies.
Yeah.
They're doing them at Netflix.
Right.
And then David Ayer, who's made Suicide Squad and made Fury.
Not only that, he's
And-
written. He was writing before he directed.
Right, because he
You know,
wrote Training Day.
Yeah.
So like I feel that like it's kind of crazy.
Well-
I didn't know about this Watership Down, the 4-episode anime. There's gonna be 4 parts animated.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
not
speaking
out.
of animated, did you get into the Voltron Netflix?
I watched the first
Yo.
season, but if you watch Castlevania, it's kind of top
Okay,
that.
so here's my,
Castlevania is pretty fun. It's real fun.
It's awesome. But
Yeah.
here's my issue with Castlevania. It does not feel like any of the games. Not even like the Symphony of Darkness, which is like the one it's more or less based on.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like it's Castlevania, but dude, I love the most intelligent thing that they did. And you know, who did that? Grant Morrison or Warren Ellis? One of the two did that.
What are we talking about?
I think it was
totally
Warren
lost it.
Ellis. Might be Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis wrote it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I love how Dracula's the victim in that,
Right.
dude. Mind
But
blown.
I feel like
Mind
I feel like
blown.
Warren Ellis doesn't have anything to do. He's just scripting it. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
just done.
It's but I like that, and I love the Belmont being a drunk. I love that they didn't do much with the story, meaning it's just like a loose like step in one direction, but they like nothing significant happened in those 4 episodes, meaning like they didn't kind of like bust their load.
Right.
But the Voltron, because we're talking, the Voltron Netflix is to me on par with the like the 2000 Masters of the Universe revival. That series is like they went into the backstory of Grayskull and the Snake Men. They built the mythology for that was like kind of like hinted, like other people kind of were like, it's as good as that. And to me, the Masters of the Universe was always like a high benchmark in reimagining some of the 80s properties. I would even put the newer Thundercats like that because they explain a lot so much better.
I like the new Thundercats quite a bit.
Yeah.
I talked about that.
Yeah. I think the first 4 episodes of that are measured against almost anything. Because when you go into like Thunder, like the mutants are something in that. Like there were nothing in the original. They were just mutants, and now it's like they're a part of Thundera and Mumra, and like the struggle.
They had like a throwaway episode in like that Thundercat series. I'll have to see if I could find what episode it was, but like they meet these fairy plant people.
Okay.
And that every day that they die, and every day that every morning they grow, they wake up and they're new. And they're
cool.
and like there was some episode in it where he tries to explain all these lessons the next day because they didn't remember the next day, and there was something that like I don't know how it worked, but like they basically were able to kind of make them remember the next day, and it was like really weird and touching and like cool like science fiction and old timey fairy stories, and I was like, this is nuts. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, to kind of like and then the only thing that Netflix may be doing bad yet good.
Yeah.
Is they're keeping every Adam Sandler movie out of the movie theater because they keep making Adam Sandler movies. But they're for someone because even though that Ridiculous 6 or whatever the fuck that was, that still had a high download ratio and like all it. Like,
I don't know. Adam Sandler.
He's making a movie with Rock called The Week of. That was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think I saw. But no, look. I guess I'm
to
an Adam Sandler like apologist because. Again, sometimes you just want to watch something that's like a brain dump and you don't have to think too hard. But the what was the one he was in with David Spade where they're like the secret that he's a secret agent?
The Do-Over.
Yeah, dude, that was funny. I don't know.
I think I'm more likely to watch them that I'm not putting any money out for them, or at least I know that the money that I've spent. Because in my mind,
it's included. If it's included in the package, in the all-inclusive package, you'll pay for it. Yeah.
Okay, so if I had no idea what Netflix was and I was sitting at home right now and Death Note came out, I'd be at the movie theaters right now seeing it. Like that's straight true. Up. Yeah, like, I would definitely see that. So that paid for it. If Okja was out, I saw Snowpiercer, I would see that. Yeah. Right? If whatever happened to Monday, that's a 50-50. Still. Jessica James, no. But if there was a special thing, like where if I was like, oh, I want to maybe rent the special or something, like the Berbiglia special, I'd probably rent. Because Don't Think Twice is also on Netflix. Yeah. That's a really good Berbiglia film we made last year.
But isn't it nice sometimes just to
I think it's interesting.
just to sit down and just, again, like watch something without any
I did
formulated. Because I think That's My Boy, which is the movie he made with Adam Sandberg. is one of the best comedies to come out.
That's one of the worst reviewed comedies ever.
I don't know why, because that movie cracks.
That's like a 10
with
Rotten Tomatoes
Vanilla
or
Ice
worse.
is in that, dude. That movie is so freaking good. And
I
really think the people that sit down and they're not humored by that movie. They don't have much of a they don't have a like.
I guess
a funny
I'll have to
bone.
try that. I'm not sure. I guess I would want to try it because I know it's a Lonely Island / Happy Madison production. Like, so it's kind of like a combination of those guys.
It's so fun. It's so.
But
good,
I love
dude.
Popstar, dude. Popstar's fucking amazing.
Popstar's great, and Popstar got trashed. And
Popstar's great.
I'm with you on Popstar.
Yeah.
Some of my friends, we always watch The Other Guys, and we watch Tropic Thunder, and we watch Step Brothers. And I was texting because we have this big group text message thing going. And I was watching Popstar, and I'm texting them. I was like, have you guys seen this movie? And we were like, oh, I heard that sucked. I heard this. I was like, dude, it's on Cinemax. It's streaming
really
on Cinemax.
funny.
You have to watch Popstar. Yeah, I'm with it. Yeah.
Never stop stopping.
Yeah. But,
all right, so my test, so that ends the Netflix. So we're very curious how Netflix. So the curious factor of from kind of coming from the previous episode was that I don't know everything that I'm kind of tuned into and everything that I go and actively seek out. Like it stopped playing in Jersey. I had a vacation this week. I took my kids to Philly.
Yeah.
And I saw Brigsby Bear.
Which
I made you watch the trailer for.
Yeah, we
And I was like, and the whole thing was like, will Pete ever see this movie? Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in theaters. It's probably only play for another week or two at the Ritz around the corner. Will you see it?
I'm looking it
will
up.
You hate it?
I'm looking it up right now on Amazon.
But in my mind, it's not yet. I think it's still in pre-order. But like, it's made by All Forces in my mind. Like, it's made by All Forces Creative. Like, it's made by YouTubers necessarily because Kyle Mooney and I'm trying to think the guy who directed it, like Chris Maccabee, like that guy. They made like YouTube videos for the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
On Kyle's channel.
Yeah, well, that's the guy that directed Annabelle. Creation was a YouTube discovery.
Oh, okay.
Too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is not it's not necessarily the first YouTube movie, but they do talk about like crowdsourcing, and they talked about a couple things how they did some of the movie, but the movie itself, as it started to get made, was like picked up a little bit by Lonely Island people, and they put a lot of money into it. And there's UCB members in it, and there's Live members in it. And there's just all sorts of stuff, and Andy Samberg's in it in a super small role, but he helped fund it. And I find it interesting that it came out, and it's very 80s nostalgia. It's kind of all the stuff we like.
Yeah, it kind of has a Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I can't really
feel
like
to it. I thought
I don't really want to pitch it because I feel
or not even that. Gentlemen Broncos.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a little bit of the feel like that.
And then like last year, like one of my favorite movies was Swiss Army Man that most people were divided on. And the ending,
that's good.
Like the ending, a lot of people don't like. And this movie had an ending that was like very confusing, and you're not even sure if that ending happened. And I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah,
like it works.
So I do have an issue with that. I think we're in an age where people think when they make small movies, they have to be like the less of a budget you have, the less of an ending you're going to need.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a little bit of an epidemic going around where people feel like they can just like stop a movie or throw like a zinger in there, like, and then be like,
this one ended better than Swiss Army Man. Like I feel like this one had a real ending. The audience
can figure it out. It's interpretation, and
right.
And it
can be a cop out.
I never. There was one movie where I watched with this girl. I forget what movie it was. It was like a guy and an Asian girl, and it was almost like they meet up in China, and then like a couple of years go by, and they run into each other again. It was like one of those movies where like every few years they're like, and the movie ends with like I think like the girl getting into an argument with her husband in the cab, and then like he's just about to ask her to like go back to his place or something, and the movie stops. And it was like ever since I saw that movie, I've just been any movie that does that now. Like
you're just like, I'm not accepting this ending. Yeah, because it's not like exactly.
What are we doing? And it's not even like the point of the movie. Like it's almost like you can do something like else. You can make another choice. But,
there was a low budget movie this year called Band-Aid that was kind of similar, that had like a similar ending like that. So, all right, so we should go right into our jam. So what we were originally talking about, the original text we had last week was was Defenders. 8
What?
episodes, the culmination of the Marvel Netflix deal that a couple years ago didn't seem like it would ever finish. That it was questionable when it came out.
Yeah.
They're like, so you're telling me you're going to have Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage,
Well, it seemed like
Iron
a fantasy.
Fist,
Yeah.
and Defenders. Yeah, right. It's never going to make it to Defenders. It's never going to make it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, they actually greenlit a Punisher series, and they did a Daredevil season 2, which they kind of threw that in the middle. They're like, here we go.
Yeah. So
season 2, go.
So quick side note. I'm not sure. Like I forget the guy's name. The showrunner, the original showrunner for Daredevil left.
Steven DeKnight.
And he's doing Pacific Rim now, right?
Pacific Rim Uprising. Delayed.
Maelstrom. I can still call it by the original title.
Maelstrom.
I hate that word. I'm happy they changed it. I don't know what Uprising means either, but it's better than Maelstrom.
It's the same. It's like a storm.
Whatever.
I think Maelstrom's a storm.
Yeah, so there's a contention that the some of the difference between Daredevil 1 and 2 was him leaving. Like where it kind of lost a little bit of
I mean, we also lost the first showrunner was Drew Goddard, and he left to go do.
Oh, I forgot.
Like that, but he kind of was the first 2 episodes like pretty powerful in there. So I know that was the first bit of it, but Steven DeKnight held on, kept one going. But I feel like the showrunners are important because I feel like the guy who did Luke Cage kept the theme, kept that push through, solid.
Yeah.
I think Jessica Jones again, tone solid.
Yeah.
Daredevil season 2. I feel like all of them are pretty successful except for Iron Fist, which we talked about. Iron Fist is
anyone can go back
and but the point, the other thing too is you got to remember that the Iron Fist situation was he left Game of Thrones. He literally was on set for Iron Fist within 3 weeks, and he learned those fighting things. The criticisms of season 1, is they had to block out him a certain way because he didn't know how to do it. So he's the spearhead of a martial arts program that was so on the deadline that he couldn't fight.
I like his look. I know I say this a lot, but I like his look. I like his look as that character.
I like that he's just dumb.
I think he fits it.
I think it works.
Yeah.
Because I feel that...
He is dumb, though. The character is written.
Again, listen, he's a 6-year-old kid. His parents get killed, and he's hanging out with monks.
Yeah.
And then he's not. And then he's in New York City.
Yeah. Well,
so when he says, like, I plunged my hand into a dragon's heart, and that gave me the power of the Iron Fist, the immortal warrior of Kunlun... You sound like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah. Well,
to which everyone made fun of him, and it works. Like it's like,
it does. Yeah.
You're a thundering.
No one buys. Yeah, but
you're like, what now?
Yeah.
Like it's just fucking nuts. So I think it's really funny.
The one part of like I think between Iron Fist and Defenders that never got over on me, just like, hey, I'm watching, I'm trying to follow everything that's happening, is that when he left Kung Lao, I never bought him the reason of him and the want of like him leaving. Like I never bought into him leaving and then wanting to like go to New York City. That never got over on me.
They should just they could have easily did it. I believe in one of the books he's just banished. He did something wrong.
Yeah. See, that would again.
And then he's like, I can't grant access. I can't go back. I'm not allowed to go back. I'm trying. I need to prove myself. It's almost like the Thor.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy situation.
Yeah.
I can't go back to Asgard. I'm not worthy. I can't get back.
Like him leaving voluntarily and then being surprised when like bad things happen.
Right.
Because you're the swarm protector and you're leaving, and then you're upset when bad things happen.
Right. And
like,
there's
it's
destroyed.
Yeah. Like
whoops. Well, I was supposed to protect it, but I rolled. I was in New York,
right?
hanging out with my childhood girlfriend.
Why do you think this mystical place needs a sworn immortal protector? Shouldn't like maybe it needs a sworn immortal protector?
Yeah.
And you're the guy for that. But
I don't know, but like there is an amazing line, and I know a lot of people like didn't like Iron Fist, and then they were saying like, oh, Mark Ramirez, who show ran this, he's like, well, you fixed them. He's like, I didn't have time to fix it. There was no time.
Yeah.
Like they literally went. He was like on Iron Fist. He had 2 weeks off, and then he was on Defenders.
That's crazy.
Like there was no.
Yeah.
There's no middle. There's nothing that they were like, we're going to be able to fix the Iron Fist character with Defenders. No, there's none of that.
No,
there's none of that.
But I like.
I think that's cool.
I like that they just went forward because the way these characters like. So when we go back and we think about Luke Cage and we go back and we even Jessica Jones with that Max series, it's like these characters move forward. like you just move forward with the character, with the plot, and eventually you'll get like a Frank Miller on Daredevil, like a seminal moment. And I do feel like just to like we're make some excuses here, when the Iron Fist show shifted from like the girl angle and the fuzzy haired guy that died whatever and that came back and defended, I don't know the actor's name or even the character's name, when the show went in that direction and was like, and then he was with I guess the guy in the room, like when Danny was with the guy that was in that room for those episodes.
Yeah, it was up at Meacham.
Or whatever. Yeah, like there was like a couple episodes there where like it just felt like a little bit more balanced and there wasn't like a lot of fighting, and like the show had a stride like in the middle, and I still think it ended like it ended the best way I think they could have ended it, which is like
I think
you
it's
destroy.
I think it's all right. I mean,
a bunch of monks.
I think it's all right. Like, I mean, the thing, like, what I wrote down here was like the good. I'd say the first 2 episodes I was just giddy, and the thing that we talked about earlier was just long form. Like, these shows are long form. We've spent 26 hours with Daredevil. We've spent 13 hours as everyone, and we like all the side characters. So when the side characters like show up,
the side characters are so strong.
So when like Foggy shows up,
Foggy
shows up and starts talking to Luke Cage, or like and then to me the things that just works.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what really holds the show.
When
together.
I was watching Defenders and they're all in the police station, and they're all like pairing each other, so it's almost like there's the Defenders, which is the title character of all these shows emerging, and then you had like a second Defenders of all the secondary
Claire
characters.
and Colleen Wing talking about how like they're not important. Super meta, and then they're like, but we are important. We're like the most important because without Colleen like writing the crazy ass Danny Rand, like he'd be in jail. Like you know what I mean? If it wasn't Claire, like putting everyone back together, they'd be all dead. Like you know what I mean? Like they'd all be dead. Every single one of them. She's night nurse. Like she's the night nurse.
Yeah.
But they weren't allowed to use night nurse because they wanted to like blow that in Doctor Strange. Way to go. But
that's one of the things.
There's a definite, the thing that I think I like and I don't like about it is there's a definite formula with these shows, okay? So you have, like, a hip, kind of good-looking main character.
Oh, I love Jessica Jones, whoever her name is.
Kristen Ritter.
I love her and her little blonde
friend. Then you have to have,
both.
like, the older actress that may have been nominated for either Golden Globe or they've won an Oscar.
But that's also a similar formula for the movies too.
It is. It's a Marvel trope too. Like that's the way that
but isn't the Donner Superman that they duplicated for Batman, which is like you get someone new and you put them with a veteran and the veteran's going.
I guess it's just safe. Like, but I feel that like the gravitas of this is the best.
But
I mean, to me,
I do think Marvel perfected.
Sigourney Weaver's like so fucking good. She's so good in this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous that like
expressionist, no expression, but like
and I bought her as a kung fu artist for like the 4 scenes she did kung fu. I was like, oh wow, like, okay, that's interesting. Like you just buy it. I did want her. There was a very early rumor that she was Mephisto. So in the back of my head,
I did see some of that.
I was like, oh man!
And all the pictures of her, she was wearing white.
She's wearing white or red.
Yeah, which is.
And I was like, what are they doing? And then she like appeared sometimes, and you'd be like, how did she fucking show up here? Like, how did she show up in like the, like, and I just feel like it was just good for the story. Yeah. Like she showed up in the Chinese restaurant. I was like, how the fuck did she get in the Chinese restaurant?
Yeah.
So like I know that there's a bit of that, and that seems to be fine because they did that with like D'Onofrio and they did that with David Wenham. Like I'm fine with that. The good, of course, is the hallway fight. They're always great. Always do a hallway fight. It's fine.
Dude,
The thing that I didn't like was the weird Avengers-y scene in the underground. Where they kept going, they did
the 360.
Moves. They did a 360.
Yeah.
They did it twice.
Yeah, they did do it twice. Yeah.
And I was like, in a row.
Yeah. Well, okay. So,
and I was like, all right.
Okay, I'll tell you why I like that. Because I
like the first one.
I was hardly paying attention during that scene. So when it like whipped like when it just kept going, I was like, oh, now I get to like watch it because I was kind of paying attention by that point. Mm-hmm. So like to me, it's like. I'm like, oh, they did it twice in case you missed the first one.
Casey fell asleep during the first one.
Yeah, and in my case, I did miss the first one.
Right. Well, I would say like I was kind of giddy in the first 2 episodes because I felt that like they were very heavy to be respectful to the original themes. So like when you had Daredevil show up, like they had the right angles and they had the colors and they had like Matt's like it was everything was, and he's talking to a priest, and then like Luke Cage gets out of jail where you're gonna play D'Angelo, like you're gonna play you're gonna play the music, he's gonna show up.
Right. Yeah.
Coffee means sex. Like we get it. Like you know what I mean. Like that's what he's like. You want to have some coffee? That's every line of Luke Cage, and he constantly has sex with every girl on the show.
Well, it's what I liked, what I really liked, and I was happy this happened when they did like the gathering of the guard, so to speak. That what was it? Episode 4? Episode 3?
4.
4.
Yeah.
When they
I like that it went to 4. It went to the halfway point.
I was like, man, like, and I was happy like just watching things unfold, like just like being along for the ride, and
well, everyone's motivations were all a little different, and it's funny because you would think that Daryl would be the first one in. He's the first one to argue and almost be out every time.
Yeah.
And even Foggy, and we'll get into spoilers a little bit. So again, all of our shows, spoilers. Foggy ends up like aiding him, even though for 2 seasons, in the second season, he's almost annoyingly trying to stop him from being Daredevil.
Yeah. And he a little bit too with this one. Where it's
he started
just
to,
like, oh my God,
and then I was like, are they going to do this again? And then he gives him a bag with his costume.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and that was a good turn. But even like when the building falls on Daredevil, where like now he has like this guilt, and he's just like, oh man, like maybe Foggy was right.
That scene. Okay, so this is where I have a little trouble. I thought that the budget when the explosion looked like shit. The explosion of the building looked terrible.
Yeah, I kind of like. It
was very underwhelming.
It's a little vague, but it was bigger than what I was expecting. I was expecting just like the windows to get like blown out.
Nah, the building comes down.
Yeah,
I kind of like that. I don't think they fully explained the dragon bones. The dragon bones concept.
About that. Like, so they get the black goo from the dragon bones.
Yes,
you would have to explain that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that actually comes from a couple different comic sources, but they actually it's almost like the Lazarus Pit.
Right. Yes.
So they almost do that a little bit with that. I did like that they mentioned that she previously killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it may not work. Like that's the one thing is like the bone marrow of these bones. But I did like the fact that they were trying to explain that literally, which I thought was interesting and a weird analogy, whether it was meta or intentional or not. These are underground characters. I would have liked one throwaway line that why the Avengers aren't there.
Yeah,
that would have been fine for me.
I'm with you. Oh, I'm with you on that.
But they did not do that. But then I would have been like, they're like, well, because they literally like go underground, and these are underground characters. Like they're very street level or underground.
You're right. You know what? I didn't pick up on that, but that's.
So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to throw a thrown away line. I thought that the betrayal of Elektra, was a little fast and surprising. Maybe that was the point. But then she's like, I'm the leader and I'm doing this, but I'm not changing my thing. But then I would have liked her to be like, we're all good now. Or like something would have been something. It just didn't make sense.
But it's the Elektra thing got me. And it's kind of funny because every one of these shows has a villain swap. Right? Like, that's a part of the formula. They have, like, an episode 6 and episode 7 villain swap. I think maybe outside of Jessica Jones, right? It's like, the entire time
it was always Purple Man.
Like, it was always a Purple Man, yeah. But he wasn't revealed until... Like, that was almost the same because you only heard of him. And then their reveal was almost... I thought that was, like, the same effect. But, no, I was kind of... Like, yeah, when she killed Ripley, I was kind of like, oh... Because I kind of liked seeing Sigourney Weaver like just doing her thing.
I just thought she chewed up the right stuff. Like I just felt like she was so pitch, and I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah. Now,
and it just like legitimized the show a bit more. That's all.
Real quick, did you like what they did? Because growing up, like the Hand was just these ninjas that brought Elektra back to life. That showed up to fill up panels for Daredevil to like kick through, and now they're like they really made it into this idea that I don't think the comics ever got across as well as these shows did.
Well, the thing that was funny was I felt like they made it like the Mandarin, where they were like the 10 fingers of the Mandarin, and they were like the 5 fingers of the hand. And what's funny is I'm watching it, and my girlfriend walked in, and she looked at it, she's like, "This is exactly like Shredder and the Foot," and I was like, "Funny story. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is literally a direct parody slash same exact art happened same exact time."
Yeah.
And the whole point of the Foot,
Stick, Splinter.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff. So the whole point of it was like I explained that, she's just like, look at me like I'm a crazy person, which I am. But like, she's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. But I find it fascinating that in pop culture, the Foot and Shredder are way a bigger concept, and they're like then that's a more normalized concept. And they're like, why are they ripping off this? I'm like, no, that was forget it. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard and struggable.
Yeah.
But at the same point, like Stick, I thought was wasted. They had an episode of season 1.
Well, I thought
Stone should have showed up. So you see, there's literally Stick and Stone. But they kind of mentioned that everyone's dead. Everyone in the chase is dead.
Yes. Yeah.
Which they developed the chase in season 1 or season 2, where they literally have just a throwaway ending where Stick is there in front of Incense, and you see the back of Stone.
Yes.
Which is another character. But Stick like chopping off his fucking hand. What the fuck? Like, that was like a what the fuck moment. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, they handcuff Stick to electric handcuff Stick, then he's got to get out of there. So he literally is like, all right. And he just chops his fucking hand off.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
I thought his death was, the reason why I liked his death is because, like, Matt Murdock did not come to terms with him. Like, it wasn't like this, like, Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker moment where it's like, no, like, my mentor, I love you. It was kind of like, I don't trust this guy. This guy is going to, like, he was against him.
Yeah.
And even, like, to, like, Stick's advice to that he would have to lead the team, he was still resistant. And it kind of, like, I thought it was a little, like, I don't say it was obvious, but I wasn't surprised when he died. Because you're kind of like, someone's going to have to die. Like, it seems like you're saying Stick up. But it was still, like, again, like, it just, this death that wasn't, easily defined, but like emotion. But there was like, I don't know, like I just thought it's a unique death, and I appreciated it.
I mean, the thing, and he did say have the best line, which is he calls Iron Fist the thundering dumbass, which is the best line because he's like, well, how'd you find me? He's like, you have your fucking phone on, you dumbass. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's like I was trying to call Colleen. Like he's still very naive, and I think that. I just love when he says shit and they're just like, what? Like, Jessica Jones being especially effective. She's like, what? And she calls him like the Iron something at one point. He's like, no, it's the Iron Fist. He's like, I know.
Oh,
like, I'm making fun of you, you fucking idiot.
But so my one issue with Iron Fist is like he cannot summon the chi at will, or can he? I'm confused
in comics
with that.
he can do it
right.
He can do whatever he wants, but it can have an effect in the comics where it's like a Green Lantern ring. It's like your willpower will fade.
Yeah,
like your chi is not charged.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel that he doesn't use it, and then he uses it, and it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like it literally is like a wave, and people like.
Yeah,
it's almost like an EMP at one point in the show. You punch it, and everything
the
just
whole
like
room just goes down.
Everyone falls. Yeah. Everyone gets fucked up.
But that's like when he summons it, he always seems like he's surprised. The way how they shoot it and the angles, because it's always like a low angle, and he stares at his fist, and it would be like, now this is when you chop his head off. When he's staring at his fist, you can chop his head off, and it's not this like. I thought when Luke Cage was like, when they were all lined up and Luke Cage is like, hey, we need you, like light it up. And he lights it up and you're like, okay, now he's arrived. Like now he can summon it at will, because I think the character is most effective when he can trigger that power and it's there for him to use, as opposed to like doing a little Hulk, like make me angry, I gotta charge my chi, and then we get this. I never thought that. Like I was kind of confused. I was like always confused when he powers up. I'm very confused when he powers up.
I guess it's hard because like we talked about this before. Is that I've read every Iron Fist book.
You said that about quite a few books.
Because I have.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not, I can't even be like, well, I missed that episode. No, I read it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I read Iron Fist. Period.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
yeah.
and that's not to say, like, listen, there's probably 200 issues of Iron Fist. There's Marvel Premiere, and then it goes into Power Man and Iron Fist, which is 50
then
issues.
It jumps all the way to modern day, practically.
Then I have a 3-issue miniseries that, like, Carlos Pacheco did the covers on, not even the interiors.
Oh,
you know
I
what I
remember
mean?
that.
Like,
yeah, but was that when you...
written by Ben Rabb.
But, yeah. Oh, Mr. Rab. Generation
R-A-A-B.
X. Yeah, Gen X.
And then it jumps at and then Fraction has the best run with the Immortal Iron Fist, and then it goes into Brubaker Faction, and that's great.
Yeah, and then it went to Curie.
And then my Kari Andrews run, which I love, like the best. The one now by Ed Brisson's okay. There's a mainstream one.
Yeah.
Then there's an Immortal Iron Fist book, which a little girl is actually the Iron Fist, and he's training her. Does work because there's just too many Iron Fist. There's too many iterations.
Yeah.
And then Bendis actually did a bunch of different Iron Fist stuff inside.
Yeah, so stupid.
It's good.
At that point,
I don't know.
make it a dog. Make the dog Immortal Iron.
I will say like about like all the supporting so this technically is everyone's season 0.5 in a way. Like it's everyone.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's where it felt most comic booky. Like that's where it worked the most for me.
Yeah.
Where it didn't work for me is that is the worst police station of all time. People are in and out of that police station. They're in custody. They're out of custody.
Yeah.
They're arrested. They're not arrested.
Right.
They're walking the fuck in and out.
Yeah.
They're in like an evidence block at one point.
Yeah.
They're in like they're in the boardroom with the what do you call that? Like when they have the all the the red tape and they have everything connected. Like they have the big board. Right. So you literally have Karen Page, who is a reporter for like the Daily Bugle or whatever they are, right? Worked for Ben Urich. She's the successor of Ben Urich. She's in there with Trish Walker, who is an expose reporter for a news media outlet, like a radio outlet. They're both inside of this police station looking at this giant wall of conspiracy. They're not allowed in there. They're not allowed in there. And they don't even introduce themselves to each other. And they're just like, hey, like, and there's a couple times where it's a little too messy.
Yeah.
But the thing where like I think the criminal thing of this is the thing that kind of, it's not going to ruin it for me, but the ending of everyone coming into the police station and every one of all the supporting characters viewing their person. So Trish is there.
Come through the door.
Jessica, come through the door.
Then Daredevil's not there.
And then Daredevil's not there. Great beat. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Right? Then you go to the rooftop, which was a really fast, weird edit.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch that.
Weird.
Because I missed
It's a weird edit.
Yeah.
Now, there are
I kept forgetting to go. Yeah, who was on the rooftop though?
Now it was Iron Fist, because remember Iron Fist, it was the promise that Iron Fist had to tell Matt. He's like, please take care of the city. Please do that.
Yeah.
Now I almost thought that they were going to do this where he was literally in a Daredevil outfit, because they did that in the comics before. They did that. Brubaker did it before, because there was Daredevil was missing. He was hurt, and then
was that Shadowland? Before Shadowland.
Before Shadowland.
Okay.
But
that's cool.
I would have.
That's a great concept.
But he was in an outfit of some sort, but it was dark, so you couldn't really tell that he was in the outfit. And he has said that he wants the mask. He wants it really bad. He did have yellow sneakers at one point. Like there's a couple times in it that I was like, they're teasing a couple things. I'm fine. I'm fine with Luke Cage with just his super bright, the Under Armour shirt.
Yeah, the Bendis Luke Cage. Yeah,
fine. First off, that guy's just Luke Cage.
Yes,
and it's nuts. Yeah, it's crazy. But
the modern day Luke Cage. Yeah,
but you do not have to go to any type of recovery room, and you don't need to see Daredevil on a cot, bloodied and bruised, with a. I don't think you needed it at all.
I didn't get that. Yeah, well, and he's not dead. Right,
they don't have to show anything. You don't have to say anything, because when they say, "Hey, Daredevil season 3 is coming,"
right,
you're gonna get the idea that Daredevil's gonna come back. You're not gonna have to know.
No,
Flash died last season of Flash. Guess what? There's the Flash season 4 coming out. What's gonna happen? He's the Flash. He's coming back. He's in another dimension.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wonder if he's in the Speed Force with his mom.
I 100%
He's the Flash.
Yeah, I thought that was a obvious shot, but I kind of.
And then they say Maggie, which is go get Maggie, and that's his mom. So they're doing Born. They may be doing Born
I think
Again,
we did Born Again.
which is cool. Like I mean,
I didn't put that together.
But another, just to like to take that minor nitpick away, I do think it's strange. Like, have you looked at the reviews on this? They're just kind of middle of the road, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It seems to be, in my mind, kind of a fun triumph. It was 8 episodes. It was fast.
Yeah.
It was fine.
No, I thought,
it was a good 0.5 for everyone.
I love that they took their time putting them together. They built up the hand to where you said to yourself multiple times, like, how are you going to beat these guys? Like, especially like with the old lady just like knocking people down. And you're like, God damn, like the old lady's knocking people down.
When they go to the building and they're like, oh, we have to go through the first floor.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, the first floor is under construction. So here's a bunch of pallets with cinder blocks on them. And I was like, oh, shit. There's going to be cinder block fights now.
Yeah.
Because there's just pallets of cinder blocks. And I was like, okay, here we go. Let's go. And I broke my hands together. I'm like, oh my God, there's cinder blocks everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I just find that fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Or even when he went into the boardroom and I was like, these aren't boardroom members. They're all fucking.
Yeah.
They're all ninjas.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what?
And you're like, oh no. He's like, oh, well, I'm like the Iron Fist, right? Come on, it's my company. I'm 51%. And they're like, doesn't matter. We're all ninjas. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay.
I thought
because then what's interesting with who's coming up in the elevator is Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
But then Luke Cage busts through the wall, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did you get here? So like, I kind of found shit like that. I was like, and then even when they like locked into a room, is like they're like drug Danny. He's fucking crazy. Just drug him. Like we can't do anything with him.
Yeah.
So they drug him.
Yeah.
And then,
that was I think a weak spot.
I thought it was a way to get. How are you going to have like Luke Cage and him just hang out?
It did serve what they wanted to do. I thought.
So I'm just like, look, these guys are best friends. Like these guys are like these guys
are.
You said that before. I was like, look at these guys. They're just hanging out. They're best friends. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, friends forever.
And that's it. They're getting a necklace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're doing a split necklace.
They're getting matching tattoos. Yeah.
I just thought like to me like I was just like I guess the biggest point of it is that like I was fucking giddy, man. It made me excited for all the future series.
Yeah.
It made me think about series I want to watch again. I think I'd want to watch.
Yeah, but
I'd want to watch Jessica Jones again, maybe. Like, you know what I mean? I want to go back and kind of like revisit some stuff.
There's so much with Jessica Jones that when I was first watching that, because that was the one where I just and the point I was getting with this one was like they built the hand up so well that you're almost like how, and they layered it. Like they even layered it that there's like dissent within the hand. Like there was this like that power struggle was. I don't think we've seen like a villain side of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think we've ever seen it ever like done. I think that well for this type like for it, something being like fantasy and like science fiction. Like you know like just getting back to it, like Rogue One had notes of it of just like, but this one was like you're almost like wow, they've tried to assassinate each other multiple times, and they're in this together for like immortality, and that's the only thread like keeping. And I just thought all that stuff was so well done that they built the hand up in such an interesting way. All the supporting characters, like even his like Iron Fist like ninja girl, the Asian ninja girlfriend thing, the guy with the curly hair that died in Iron Fist, like I love him because like he's just so like stoic, and when he's talking to her. The Iron Fist girlfriend, and they're having like that fight conversation, and he's like, it was almost like a Vader Luke moment in Return of the Jedi.
Well, that's the one thing too is that they cut off Colin Wing's arm.
Yeah.
Or no, they cut off. I'm sorry, they cut off. Shit, what's her name?
The
Misty,
the Black
Misty
Girl.
Knight.
Yeah, but doesn't she get it?
Yeah, listen, the Daughters of the Dragon is Colleen Wing and her,
right?
And like, so they have Heroes for Hire, and then they even had a miniseries which is Colleen Wing, and Misty Knight, and she has a cybernetic arm, which was Stark Tech in the comics, but they're literally making it like Rand Tech. She's like, oh well, you're in a special facility. And Danny owns the company.
Right.
He's
and
Bruce Wayne anyway. So, like, you know, he's going to give you a cybernetic arm. And I'm like, holy shit.
Right.
Because there was something happened to her last season where her arm got, like, where they grabbed her. And, like, at one point you're just like, oh, shit. Like, her arms are getting ripped. She's ripping their fucking arm off.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was like, okay, they didn't do it. That's fine. And then in this episode, I was like, great.
Yeah. It was like they gotcha.
But, and I was like, I can't believe. But it was scary. It was scary. Yeah. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. I don't know, like but then again too, like, do you think they were doing the like, with Marvel Phase 2, everyone lost like a hand, or like, like they did their Empire Strikes Back with
I did
Marvel
think that,
Phase
but
2.
I'm kind of curious to
And
look back if like when did Misty Knight's arm get ripped off? What year was that?
yeah,
Was that like in 1980?
I'm
Was it after Empire?
that's a little,
Because Misty Knight's been around since 70 something. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'll look it up.
You can look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought when it comes to what people make, like, some of the middle of the road criticisms for Defenders, I believe, come from people not understanding what the like what to expect. I don't know. I think it's that simple. I think people wanted the Avengers, and they did something. Like, I don't want to say anti-Avengers, but dude, like, it wasn't even until like the very end that they were kind of congruent. I mean, they were pushing and pulling since the 4th episode. Like, they were not on the same page, and I like that so much, because it's just,
They weren't really ever on the same page.
yeah.
You know?
And I just think that's such a it's so interesting. I don't care if it's accurate to the comic. I don't care. Like, it's interesting to, like, what the effort is and what they're trying to portray. But yeah, and like, the whole thing, real quick, with Misty Knight though, is I think some of it is like the leader in the Incredible Hulk movie, which is like, you can set something up and you never have to go back to it, but it's always there. And I think that some of that is like, people never they never considered that at that point. Like, not all, it's a little bit like Lost. Not all plot threads need to have an ending when you deal with this many characters. So I don't know. I would love it though if they went in that direction with her.
I'm trying to figure out when.
Trying to figure out.
I'm trying to figure out that bionic arm. I'm trying to figure out the origin of the bionic arm.
What I want to say? I want to say I remember Bill Tushy drawing it, and that might have been the first time I saw it. Which was 2000. I don't know. Like,
it was before 80. It was before 86. It's saying. They're saying that it has something to do with the $6 million man. It doesn't have.
Yeah. See, I'm way off. Like, that is hold up here.
It's a John Byrne though. See the John. It's mostly. That's so
It all
crazy.
goes back to Byrne, right? Yeah, I just remember. See, this is what I remember, right here. Like, and that's my only reference point, because there was really I never was totally into that side. So that was Heroes for Hire. And what year was that series?
Yeah, but this bionic arm thing they're talking about, it's more like a television.
It goes.
It goes back. She was 75.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that's what I mean. I mean, this character's literally.
Yeah,
This is a 40.
Here's one from
40-year-old character. It's not fucked up. That's like so crazy to say that.
Yeah.
That Misty Knight, like, it was a kind of a throwaway B character that was a side character in an Iron Fist comic in Marvel Premiere, which wasn't even like a main book.
No,
like, it's not a main book.
It was Marvel Comics Presents. It was their like, I guess, geez, we were even talking about earlier, like, a little bit when Action Comics went bi-weekly. It was Action Comics bi-weekly, and DC Presents was like their breeding ground.
Yeah, and then they did Action Comics
intro.
Weekly.
Yeah,
and they just like had backups. It was like a Superman, then they had like crazy
Yeah.
backups. You had like a good like Deadman backup. You know what I mean? It was all
or like the Stranger would have.
Yeah, it
like
was
a little bit
Phantom
of
Stranger. It was nuts. Like they just had the craziest shit. So I mean, kudos. I give it a.
I was
a
into
solid,
it.
Yeah, you know, I think we ranked them on the last episode, but if I had to rank them, I'd still go Daredevil season 1, number 1. I'd put this at, I don't know. I'd say then Jessica Jones. And
So
I'd say this is third.
that's where you and I are in agreement. 1 and 2 is Daredevil, Jones, and then it's what's number 3 for you, Luke?
I go
or Daredevil 2.
I go Daredevil 2 just because I feel that I
still like the Elektra stuff in Daredevil 2. And I love the Punisher stuff.
I think the Punisher on the roof stuff, like I think that's the stuff where he's got Daredevil handcuffed. I think that's
that's one.
It's ripped right from the comics,
right.
but I think it's really well done.
Wait. Who did that better? Was it um, Miller or who?
Ennis.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Ennis would. I guess it's chicken or the egg, man. I think that the Ennis wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't already done.
If it wasn't already done.
You know, so I kind of have to go in order. I have to go Miller then Ennis.
I just like Ennis because when he tied him up, the gun was like at him, like
Right.
there was like
a little ballsier.
there was no getting out of it at that point. Well, you know, where like
I just find it interesting, like, and I'm very curious on how I think the tone. I just have a good feeling. I think Punisher, the tone's just gonna be hit, and I feel that the tone's gonna be right. I feel like what I find it very interesting is that the fact that Netflix is just, they can do whatever they want. They're literally putting it on like the birth date of the Marine Corps.
That's just really
and
cool.
they're advertising it in a reverence way, not an exploitative way.
Yeah. Do you think it sounded like with that trailer that it's a little bit Punisher born?
Yeah,
the Max.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where he makes like, because in Punisher Born, like, you don't know if it's a voice in his head, or if he does make a deal with the devil to survive Vietnam.
Right.
But brilliant. Like they
already moved to Afghanistan.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They'll move. Yeah, because the Thomas Jane one was like
that's even said when it's said in season 2. Season 2, he's on the rooftop, and then someone comes up to the rooftop, and he's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Oh." He said something. He knew he was like Marine. He's like, "You're Marine Corps." He's like, "Yeah, something Vietnam."
Right.
He's like, so that was almost like him talking to a him. Like it was Punisher talking to a Punisher.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, well, blah 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 blah," and they're like, "Okay, see ya. I'm murdering someone. Give me 1 second."
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Leave me alone. I'm gonna murder someone on your rooftop. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'll clean it up or not.
Yeah. So so for you, it's Daredevil, Jones, Daredevil 2, Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Defenders, Iron Fist?
I think Cage. No, actually, I'd put Defenders. I might even put Defenders before
above Luke.
I might even put it above season 2. So I think season 2 of Daredevil breaks a bit.
Yeah. So so
I put it like third. I put it like high.
It's up there,
really high.
See, I love.
I think because it's fun, man. Like again, like if you run through like so say we're just talking about the Marvel movies, right? And we want to throw one on. What's the funnest one? What's like one of the most fun?
I'd say the Avengers or Guardians.
Yeah, Avengers.
Yeah.
Like if I had to throw one, because I think the dynamics of it, like throwing it around, that's the most fun.
Yeah.
And I think that I'd say the first 2 episodes of this was just like pitch. I feel that they had the right music, the right tone.
They did, yeah.
Jessica's drunk. She's upstairs. There's someone yelling at her.
Yeah.
She's like yelling at her assistant. Like it just seems to kind of go.
And they also did this thing where they kind of like parlayed everything with the supporting characters quick.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like Luke Cage and Rosario Dawson, it was just like boom, it happened so quick, and now the 2 of them are together.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, like it put 2 people on one path, and that's even when you had the convergence at the police station, and then the team forming. It just didn't seem rushed. It just felt. On the tone of the story, felt logical and natural. And
I just really don't know what they're going to do with Jessica Jones, because remember, she's had 3 storylines? 3?
Yeah.
Like 3. So they did like a bit of the beginning of her through line.
Yeah.
Then they did the end of her through line. So they kind of covered 2 stories. She has one middle story. I can't even tell you what it is. And then she pretty much in Avengers, they voluntarily or whatever cancel her series Alias from Max. Max rebrands.
Yeah.
And then Ben starts doing Avengers, and then she's not around. Then all of a sudden she is. She's featured a little bit in The Pulse, which was like a Ben Urich book.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, I remember that. That was It
was not good. And then she marries Luke Cage. You know what I mean? Like that's it. And then she has a baby.
Yeah.
She's
and
pregnant.
The last time, I guess, would be Secret Invasion.
And then now they're moving into. Well, if you go way back, originally when they were doing this, supposedly, and this is believe this is denied, so I might be completely wrong on this, but I believe it's already denied. This was supposed to be Jessica Drew, like that thing was supposed to be that she quit and she was going to be a PI. That was, and then there was another series that he pitched a long time ago with Rick Mays called like Jessica Drew, Agent of Shield, and they eventually did that story later on as
Okay.
Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
But Jessica Drew's best friend
I
is
was
Trish
always
Walker.
I was
Like, so
always
that's
confused with that. Like
Yeah.
I always there was a time that I thought she was like the former Spider-Woman.
because then what they did is they made her Jewel, which is a character that was not ever. It was a retro continuity thing, like almost like Sentry.
That's the white. Is that the white costume?
Yeah, she's the white costume
Yeah.
with the star on the
Such
side.
a crappy.
Well, it's a Dazzler costume sort
Yeah.
of, like, because it was basically he wanted to create something, and it's not terrible, but it's like it's a weird retro continuity that never happened.
It's still better than the white Wonder Woman costume.
Maybe that was pretty good at the
The
time. It was pretty
the
fun.
hippie one.
It was a great Dick Giordano cover, man. That's it.
Or the psychedelic one.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
that's
not,
right.
not the hippie one. Yeah, it's good
Same
cover.
thing.
Good cover premiere.
It's a great cover.
For that.
Yeah, it's right in my head right now.
Yeah, it's the Austin. Like I just look at that now and I'm like, oh, it's Austin. If Austin Powers like had a Wonder Woman comic, that would be a
Yeah.
really like art directed one.
Okay, weird.
yeah.
Weird Austin cover. I know is a weird thing to end it.
Yeah.
Do you know about like the Gong Show that's on ABC? Have you seen?
Yeah,
this?
I've seen some of it because my friend comes over Mondays to watch The Bachelorette. So
Okay.
I've been watching. That comes on after. I only seen a little bit of it because I can only
explain
stomach
to me
so much.
what is going on in that show. Like, why?
I love the guy hosting it. He makes me pee myself. He's so funny.
Okay, who is that?
I don't know.
You really don't know what's going on with this show?
Well, it's like he's a British Robin Williams looking dude.
No,
Oh.
that's Mike Myers.
No.
Look it up. That's Mike Myers. That's what I mean. Is my girlfriend said, "Hey, we
Wait,
need to watch
what?
the Gong Show." That's Mike Myers playing a strange BBC host.
So he's doing Jiminy Glick that
Sort of, yeah.
like was yeah.
But he's
because
on-
people didn't know Jiminy Glick was like or Sacha
Was
Baron
Martin Short.
Cohen. Yeah, like they didn't know.
Oh, right. So
they
like a
ain't
Borat.
separated.
and-
Yeah.
yeah.
People like thought Jiminy Glick was like because he remember he would show up on like red carpets and
Yeah,
interview people, and people still weren't picking up that it was Martin Short. It was
Right,
like
right.
the stupid, and then I don't know how they figured it out because he was doing stuff before he was on like he had a Comedy Central show or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to I'm just really going off of memory here.
Yeah. We
So,
got
wait,
both of them.
that's
You got
Michael
movie-
Myers on the Gong Show.
It's Austin Powers. It's Saturday Night Live's Mike Myers. Look at it. I swear to God. And the people that write that show, I tried to look it up. I was like, oh, maybe this is like a Robert Smigel thing. Maybe it's a Saturday Night Live spinoff or something. But I was like, oh, but it's ABC.
But
That
wait,
doesn't make any sense.
So do you think it's a Gong Show just with him as like one of the pieces? Like he's doing like a Borat.
I don't understand
but
it.
the Gong Show's for real though. Like the people performing and the people.
He has no creative input in the show.
So he's just on as a character. He's on as a gag. He's just on.
He's on as a guy. I just don't know.
he's
I don't
Andy-
understand it.
Doesn't this sound like Andy Kaufman?
Yeah, but it's not because
It's
it's
like
Mike
Tony-
Myers and he's very like Mike. Like he's not. He's never been.
I thought he was a real guy this whole time.
It's
I thought he
not.
was just someone I never heard of because I don't watch a lot of television.
No.
That's why I always
No.
thought he was funny. I just thought he was like this Robin
No,
Williams
now it's a
looking
weird
dude.
mystique. Now that you watch, it, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Hey,
Like,
he's
why is he? Because
Tony-
he's fucking.
He's Tony Clifton.
Sort of,
Andy
yeah.
Kaufman.
That's
He's
right.
Tony
That's
Clifton
right.
does.
I guess, but like, it's not that funny.
I,
To me, it's
that
not that
dude
funny.
cracks me up because he's like I think he is funny. I laugh at him.
I wish I didn't know it was Mike Myers because I can't take it away, and I don't understand.
Now
what
I
the
want to
joke
watch
is.
it. I think that's the joke. Now it's 100 times more funny. It's way more funnier now.
I completely hate it. I hate it.
I just want to watch. I want to watch. Like I'm watching. The Gong
Watch it
Show
in the
tonight.
different mindset and see. Like, I think that all the
I don't know
acts
if I
are
can-
bad.
Yeah,
And the
that's,
comedians don't know what to do because they're not even really. I think all the comedians are confused. It's like no one told them.
but they could. I don't know. I saw like a piece of one with Jack Black, and I think it was Jack Black, Will Arnett, and I forget who's it. It might have been Jennifer Aniston.
Mhm.
And they're kind of like just joking around. It's like it feels like a loosey goosey fun show.
It's like their day off. Like I feel like it's like they're hanging out on their day
but
off.
there's a lot. It's like Hollywood Squares. The's always been shows like that on television,
Yeah,
or
it's a
like
weird-
or What's My
it's just
Line,
strange.
or like there's
But there's
always
no
been.
like there's no wacky Chuck Barris character like to be Chuck Barris. So they like created
so do you
a
think
strange character.
this whole show is a gag for Michael Myers?
I don't know.
Where like
Because I don't think anyone really knows it. You don't know it.
no, how'd you find out?
My girlfriend said that's Mike Myers. And I watched it and I'm like, oh yeah, he's doing his
Like,
Britishy.
Wait, did we confirm this?
I know it is.
Is it confirmed?
No, you can look it up.
I'm just gonna Google Mike Myers. Oh, dude, look at Google's suggestions.
It's right there. Go ahead.
Google already suggested Mike
Google's
Myers.
like, how do you not know this? This is the
Dude,
weirdest.
okay, now, dude, the guy looks like him.
Yeah, because it's him.
Look at that. Look.
I know it's him because I watch it and I know it's him.
How's that not the funniest thing on earth?
It's not because I think he's doing the same exact goofy gags, the shag, the same. He's doing Austin Powers, but he's doing it in like a weird Piers Morgan
but
situation.
It's funny though.
I don't think.
When is Austin Powers not funny?
When he's playing a game show host and he's not Austin Powers.
But he's doing funny things with the people. I don't know.
I can't.
He's
I didn't
usually
laugh.
the funny. I usually like he would be the funniest part of that show. He's funnier than
He is
than-
the funniest. He is the best part of that show, but that's like the world's tallest midget. It doesn't mean anything. It's like
What? It's like a race to the bottom.
yeah,
type
it's
thing?
just
The
not.
world's
It's not.
tallest midget.
It's the world's tallest midget. This is the best of the worst entertainment show.
The three midgets that listen.
Like
we
I
just
can't
lost
watch.
them.
There we go. But I can't watch. I can't watch those talent shows. They don't mean anything to me. I can't
No,
watch them.
they're tough. They're tough for me to watch. So, but this one I like because it was like a commentary. I thought it was like they were making fun of those shows, and that's why it was.
I just can't tell. Like when that's in there, I can't tell if it's a sketch show. Like I can't tell on who's on the joke if he's scripted in the joke.
Isn't this everything we were just discussing with Andy Kaufman? Isn't like
Yeah, but no one's involved in that. He's doing his own thing.
A major network show now, and with potentially the biggest audience ever watching. Like just considering the people watching TV now, just
Not
like
many people watch ABC. What
Yeah.
are they watching? Shield? No one watches that.
No, there's still like when it comes to like network television, like just even as a news reach. Do you know how many people CNN reach? It's like 1 to 2 million.
Yeah, but they're going there for a purpose. If I flipped on ABC,
but the network news like ABC gets like 20 million.
if I flipped on
like 20
ABC
versus
by
1.
accident, I would turn it off right
Yeah,
away.
but again, you're not like there's 20 million people, 19 more million people to watch the network news than CNN.
And as I have stated on
think it's a
episode
gap.
1
Yeah.
here,
Is that what
I want
that-
everything to be tailored right to me. They're speaking right to me.
Yeah, dude.
Why isn't Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy making movies just for me and what I want? Why are they doing
Don't they
this
know
to
what
me?
Mark wants?
Don't
dude,
they know what I want?
I'm so amused that this is literally a
this
giant
bothers me?
inside joke.
This
that the
bothers the
Gangsters
shit out of me.
Giant inside joke.
I hate it.
I'm gonna watch it tomorrow night. I hope it's on tomorrow night. I'm watching.
And you'll enjoy it, and you'll write to me and be like, "I love it," and I'll
Yeah.
go, "I hate it. I can't watch it."
I don't understand that. That's the funniest.
Because I can't wrap. I literally can't wrap my mind around what it's doing. I can't figure out.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it.
And the people in charge of it are like Emmy writers. They're people that have never written
Yeah.
anything. They haven't written television. They're not sketch people. They've written like jokes for Emmys.
Yeah.
Like the Emmys. Like that's it. I looked it up because I was trying to figure it out. I was like, well, maybe it's fake. Like like when I don't know.
But
it's
isn't
like,
it? But don't you get it if you think it's
like
fake?
what was the one show that the guys from the state did?
Oh,
And they did a show where it was like a talent show, and they were like ski.
yeah.
like,
And they had Johnny Blue Jeans.
yeah, it was bad.
That was one of the characters. That
But
was Yeah.
It was fully there, and it was fully like fake and bad.
Right. That was the show. That was
It was
like
no
the joke. Yeah, that was okay.
right. But I admire, but I knew that it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, I just think this is
like it's not like Comedy Bang Bang. Like Comedy Bang Bang television show is not a talk show.
yeah.
You know that, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so, like, when a talk show person comes on and they start doing stuff, or even when they have their guests on, and clearly it's like Paul Scheer, and he's
Yeah.
playing someone, or if you have Paul F. Tompkins playing Andrew Lloyd Webber, you know it's not Andrew Lloyd Webber, but we're all in the joke. Like, we
Right.
got it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's great about it. So, and Scott Aukerman's playing Scott Aukerman, but not exactly.
I don't know.
So-
I love it, dude. It's the
Or even like, this is another thing that's kind of a little bit, this is kind of skewing my point here. But if you watch Seth Meyers' show on NBC late night,
yeah.
Fred Armisen's often there, and they ask Fred Armisen questions, and he answers very strangely as if he's doing these things that he's doing, but he's not. Like he's just
Okay.
clearly being a fuck. He's purely like fucking around.
That's funny.
But that's funny because that's like more in the line of like,
Yeah.
like more of like Andy Kaufman. Like I just don't know. Like I've never pegged for like Mike Myers plays Austin Powers. Mike Myers plays Wayne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He plays Wayne Campbell. So for him to be like playing like this like Piers Morgan-y, like kitsch like character, BBC One.
Yeah.
Like I just don't know. I just don't know who created it. Like I just find it very strange. Because he's a creative individual. Like he writes those movies.
Yeah.
He comes up with like, I want to make Austin Powers. Austin Powers failed. The first one failed. Like no one thought it was good. It wasn't until like home video and it got some momentum.
Well, no,
and
I
then
mean,
went.
that
didn't work.
That was one of those movies too, though, that were like, dude, like the hype for Austin Powers 2 was like
It was gigantic.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of those things where like all the merchandising just wanted to make up for not banking on the first one.
Right,
Like,
that was too much
which
merchandising.
we see a lot. Yeah, which happens all the time. I don't know. I get it.
I wish I didn't know.
I get it. Yeah.
I wish I didn't. But again,
But see,
I think the
I
first
thought-
time I saw Ollie
Yeah.
G, when I saw Ollie G doing stuff, I'm like, I don't realize that this is not a person.
Yeah.
That this is a person creating this character, Ollie G,
Yeah.
who's interviewing these people.
Yeah.
And then when I think I first saw Borat, I was like, oh, that's Ollie G. No, like not at all.
Right, you were
like, you know what I mean? Like,
you were one version back.
not at all. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, what's this guy doing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well,
And then-
you're kind of like the people when they heard Jessica Simpson's "Take My Breath Away." They all know it's like a cover. They think
Right,
it's
right,
like a
right,
Jessica
right.
Simpson song, and
Right.
then they hear the old one, and they're like, "Who's that shitty band singing
Right,
that Jessica
right.
Simpson song?"
Or it's like when you watch Defenders, and you're like, why is that like Shredder and like the foot?
Right, exactly.
What are they doing? And I'm
It's
like,
so-
oh, all right.
it's so funny. It's.
I wish I could watch Gong Show. I guess the weird way
I
to
thought
end the
that
show.
dude was funny, and look, I'm not like.
He does this running dance, and it's goofy. It's
yeah,
weird.
but
you
it's
know?
I thought because I've only seen it for like a little bit in the beginning of each episode, like 10 minutes in, like into like
That's
maybe-
all you need. That's
like
all,
the
it's the good
first
stuff.
commercial, like the first act or whatever, because then we'll just switch to Netflix and watch PNR, like Parks and Recreations, and we're making our way through all. And I was way behind in that show, but that show is phenomenal. Like the writing for
Right.
that is so
Right.
good. But I always thought that dude was funny. Like I
Alright.
kind of would want to watch the Gong Show just to watch that dude run around and whatever.
You can do that now and now, like,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's gonna be ruined for you. So we'll
Well,
catch
I
that- we'll
kind
catch
of
up
yeah,
with
you
that.
kind of like red pilled me with that. I got like a Gong Show Mike Myers red pill tonight. I can't believe it, dude. That is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's Tony Clifton, because like Tony Clifton, and it's true too. Like Tony Clifton had deals, like
Right.
Tony Clifton had contracts. Like a person that doesn't exist has a major network contract, and I don't know. I just think that's like there's a joke in there. That's hilarious, and I think the Gong Show is just like another version. I'm just crazy, like in all that it happened in today's environment, because I think people would just like not be
I just think
into
there's
it.
too much. There's too much on TV.
I don't know.
I don't think anyone's paying
I
attention
don't
to
even
this
know.
besides.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I barely knew that there was a Gong Show.
Well, what are the big shows on TV now? Like what are people watching?
Everyone's watching Netflix. Everyone's watching This Is Us. It's all This Is Us.
You know what?
Everything's
No
This Is
one's
Us.
watching TV. They're listening to us.
I don't.
They're
no
listening
They
to
shut off
These
long ago.
two sexy dudes. Yeah, they turned off as soon as they heard Trump.
Very possible. I would recommend just take that whole out.
Yeah.
All out.
I debated it since
Yeah.
we've been talking of chopping at it. But then am I surrendering? Am I now like censoring myself?
Yes.
Like because aren't we our own bosses with this, or our own editors, and we can kind of and look, you and I are like very different on that, meaning that not that we wouldn't have similar points of views, but we're different in how we spend our time. And like a lot of this stuff, it's not that like again like I'm making like excuses or things in that, because I think there's so much that goes on that we just do, like, you just don't know. And I don't like, look, we got history of it. I don't like being preached to. I don't like like I want to know, and I want to know like I want to figure things out. Like I want to be able to kind of see things my own way. But like you and I do have a vast, and like if you and I went to the bookstore, we would definitely spend most of our time in different sections. Like we may not even like I walk through like the fantasy, like the like I even walk through the fiction Like there's very few fiction authors I follow. I browse through the like the comic, like I walk through the comic aisle and you know what, like I pick out the Watchmen Noir, the black and white like Watchmen Noir, and like and it's a comic I know by heart, but like I'm not looking at the newer stuff. I'm looking at something I already know,
Right.
which isn't
Yeah.
like adding anything to why you would walk down an aisle in the bookstore because you kind of want to be like surprised by something and find something new. Yeah, but like you, like that's where you and I, like, yeah, I would say like kind of pulled apart throughout the years. But but again, like when it comes to the context of a show, I think it's good that we can even have that balance because even when it comes to like life experience, like you're very different than mine, and that comes through, and that's good. But then again, too, it's like, why would you want two people to have the same exact like opinions when it comes to like a like a tennis match.
Right.
Like you kind of do want you want the John McEnroe and like Bjorn Borg, like just kicking it back and forth. I don't know. Yeah.
So, are we gonna do Inhumans? IMAX?
Okay,
Like,
I was going to text you this. I was going
Oof.
to ask you.
it's gonna be painful.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Guess we'll we continue it, but I just
When is that?
it's like September 2nd. Like it's like next week.
I don't know. I'm not really into it.
No.
Like,
I don't know how
I would
can't.
I would tell you this, to be perfectly straight.
Because it's like a 3-week thing before it airs.
Yeah.
So the first
So they
two
they're
episodes,
trying to get word of mouth, right? Like they got that's
they're
enough
banking
work.
on it. There's 3 weeks. 3 weeks for it to kill
Yeah.
it,
Or to
or it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you'd be like, this is great.
I
like
would,
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
would be into it, and this is one of the only times you'll ever hear me be like this surface and superficial on just like again not experiencing something. And this is already contrary to things I already said in the last 2 episodes. Black Bolt should have a mask. He needs like there's something about that character being silent and also having a hidden face. And it was one of those weird untangible things that always worked with Black Bolt. Dude, like how long? I mean, would you say modern day? Like now, every storyline that has Black Bolt, he screams, right? But going up until modern,
Gar Boltagon.
yeah, I would say like would it be what was the not Annihilation? What was the King's one?
War of Kings.
War of Kings, right? Like since War of Kings aren't, he uses it every day.
He uses it a lot.
Like
Or
okay,
it didn't matter. The issue that they've actually been doing, I think for the last 4 months, they came out like they did like an Inhumans Alpha, which was so cheesy that like they even like called it Alpha. However, that was really good. And then like every book that's been out since, like Royals, and they have Inhumans Once and Future Kings book that just came out.
yeah. I always think they have
All
good.
good. Like they're
Yeah.
They did a series last year. I think I even talked to you about it, where he ran a bar, and him and they were split up. Like him
Ran a
and
bar.
where him and Medusa split up, and Medusa was with Johnny Storm for a while, and it was just like it just made like no sense. They had like an Uncanny Inhumans book, which was and they had too many new Inhumans.
That
in
sounds
it,
like a tsunami book.
messy.
That's like a Marvel
it's what
tsunami
it felt
book.
really bad. But
Yeah.
like, it didn't feel right. But since they did Inhumans like Alpha, it's good. Like Royals is really good.
Yeah.
And they have another Inhumans book. And then they have like a third miniseries called Once and Future Kings, which is really good. So they have like 3 main books right now, which are amazingly, because they were putting this out like Inhumans, they were trying to position them as X-Men. Like they were going to be the weirdos.
Yeah.
And they were going to be like, well, we don't own X-Men, and Fox owns X-Men, so they can make
Yeah,
their
they've
X-Men
been
movies.
trying to figure out.
They were trying to IP Inhumans
Right.
as X-Men.
Yeah, and I really thought that was just BS.
It was petty.
But
and bad.
then
that's
like
how it went.
yeah, but then like the longer you saw what the editorial was rolling out, like you're just it's hard to I think argue that but you don't know. There's no right. There's nothing.
Well,
there's nothing concrete, but. Man,
but
like
remember, they also canceled Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And then they put Fantastic Four in all sorts of different books, and like Thing was in Guardians, and then they have and then Johnny Storm.
Isn't it weird that there's like
there's no Fantastic Four
right?
books, so.
Isn't that weird? Like,
hoping after Legacy
like,
they're gonna just kind of do it.
But do you
know?
remember like Heroes like post Onslaught, and it was like Heroes, and then it was like there was kind of like no Fantastic Four. Like even though like it was Heroes Reborn, but there was like no Fantastic Four because you didn't know what Heroes Reborn was going to be. Like there were just these side and like it was kind of like you didn't care about no Avengers because they weren't big at the time. You didn't care about no Captain America, no Iron Man, but like no Fantastic Four was even a big deal then.
Right.
And now it's just.
But I think the longer you go away from it, the worse it is.
Yeah.
So that's why
It's a weird decision.
They just need to like figure it out and bring it back.
Yeah. So real quick though, like I guess maybe we'll wrap this up soon. Black Bolt needs his mask. I would just say it. The other thing that rubbed like don't ever rub another man's rhubarb is within that trailer. They're like he's in a suit on a city street, and they kind of are. Cops are cuffing him, and he coughs, and cars get blown down the street. I'm just like, that's not. It's not. There's such a mystique to Black Bolt being shrouded and silent, and knowing.
Just go to jail.
Just go to jail. And knowing he can level a city. Like there's such an there's an awe about that, and I get it. They did storylines where he screams in Thanos' face, and Thanos like just pounds him into the ground. I get it. Like fine, but even like within the comics, there was one time in the comics I remember there was like 1 or 2 times he ever did that. Like when I was growing up, it was like and that's what made that character so cool. You're like, dude, he can't even. He's got to mentally control himself. Like this dude, you do not like. He's the most deadly guy, and he's like he's hidden. He's like this acquired taste, and that's what always made the Inhumans super cool. Even back to like the Marvel Knights, Jenkins, Jay Lee work.
That's great.
Yeah. Which is right. Like you can, I would say that's like probably the best. Yeah, like what was that? 12 issues or 18? 12?
12. Yeah.
12. Yeah.
That's great.
I thought that was like a year and a half. But okay, you got anything else to say? Anything else you want to?
No, that's it.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll get into some other stuff. I mean, I got other stuff. Luckily, I have this notebook, so I'm just gonna start to scribble some stuff. And we'll try to do Sunday nights for sure. Do 1 to 2.
Yeah. I didn't tell you this. I did do a run of phone experimentation. So it was like the results weren't like audio wise, not exactly, but it's there's a list I have of newer things to try. So that I will say soon now that's going to be, and that's also why Dream Warriors was on like the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 type rate, because there was that, and I wanted to figure out the movie commentary to do that properly, so we could do like Speed Racer, but that got more complicated. So there might be a couple different pieces of equipment that I'm going to need for that. But so either way, we're going to rock and roll. We're going to try and get Mark here every Sunday. And I don't know. We're just going to keep going, right? We're going big rollout this week. By the time you're listening to this, you'll be at the tail end of this week's giant rollout.
Right.
Okay.
Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. All right.